Seriously. Hey, welcome back to the Dynasty Grind. I am feeling terrible. I am terrible, so that makes sense. Not doing well today, but I thought I'd try and make it anyway. We're here every week at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Talk all things Dynasty constantly. We've got Russ Fisher from the Trade Addicts podcast and Zach Reed from the Dynasty Dummies podcast to help me out because I'm not going to be able to do much. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts on Dynasty in general, drop them whatever comment box on the streaming platform you're watching on. I do have an idea that I was going to try and ask you about tonight, which was a video series trying to break down drafts, or because we've got one for the trades on the DLF podcast, but honestly, I just haven't been able to put thought and preparation into that because I'm not well. So I don't know why I mention it. Anyway, let's get to it. If you have anything to say about Dynasty, we'll be happy to talk about it until we run out of questions, really. So I appreciate it. And let's get to it. Honestly, did not realize how bad I was doing until I tried to reach for thoughts and words. How you doing, guys?
We've been telling you since you showed up just to get the hell out of here.
Well, I've been sleeping most of the day, which is bad because I was meant to do a lot of things today, and I really got no more sleep in me, so I may as well be here as an awkward participant in the grind. What were you guys saying about trades? You said something about you haven't seen a lot of trades, and that kind of made sense. It feels like the weeks people take off.
The 10 Trade Addicts leagues, there were 0 trades last week. I honestly don't remember if that's ever happened before. Like, usually we can pull one before the show starts. I sent like 15 during the day, and admittedly, some of them were not good. But I just sent stuff out hoping people would throw me something back. Like, I wanted to send things out to certain people that I knew that counter. So, and it did not go well. I ended up pulling one off. I got a counter the next, like, I woke up and it was there, like, so I couldn't have gotten it done for the show. But yeah, nothing. There was 0 trades.
We get one done during the show, so it was okay.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And what's funny is on Wednesdays, Addison and I record the DLF trade show, and if I do have a trade in my inbox, we do a section of in Russ's inbox, and I also completed a trade during that show.
Nice. So it's not just a clever name. Trade Addicts. Yeah.
There is someone, David in TA6, who's named his team the Shitty Beatles. It makes me so effing happy because it's one of the dumbest jokes ever, but it's literally one of my favorite jokes in any movie.
Are they any good? No, they suck.
For people who listening who don't know, in the movie Wayne's World, which is one of the most 90s movies you will ever see, they go up to this club and they ask who's playing, and the bouncer starts listing bands like this by these people and the Shitty Beatles. And Wayne goes, "Shitty Beatles, they any good? Man, they suck." Oh, then it's not just a clever name. I mean, it's fucking hilarious, but like out of nowhere, the simplest, like, it just makes me so happy. And the fact that he just went in and named his, like, instantly, like, best friends, secondary best friends, because I mean Zach is here.
Pete, have you checked that guy yet? Like, let's go.
Yeah, Peter was like completely zoning out on us because he was playing chess. He's like, this guy won't just either beat me or quit.
He was playing really frustrating chess, so I just did something that kind of blew up the match, and then he spent 2 minutes thinking about it. It's like, no, I just gave. Come on, man, move. And he still won. He still can't do it. I got a king. He's got like 4 things. I'm like, come on, man. I'm just trying to get out of here.
He's toying with you. He's playing. It's cat and mouse.
Burks to E5.
There you go, Seth. Is Burks a buy even when he did not meet the threshold? Yeah, that. Yeah, a lot of conversations we can have about thresholds, but no one is great. Like 600 yards is a pretty good threshold, but like a 20, what was it? He got over a 20% target share. Yeah. No one threshold is a killer, and he had a pretty good season when you take into a context. Like I think he's the easiest outside the top 3. Olave, Wilson, and London. Burks had the best season. Don't at me on Christian Watson. He just did. And so
I
outside
agree
of
with
that,
you.
he's the one I want.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, it's a little grasping at straws because I will defend players I like, even if I'm making shit up as I go along. But in the Tennessee offense, which is shitty, when Burks, Tannehill, and Henry were healthy together at the same time, Burks had a very good target share and caught a lot of the catchable passes, which is also a little bit of a problem. Plus, now that the Titans fired their GM and got a guy from the 49ers, which, if anything, the 49ers have always built a very good roster. And they're one of the few teams that actually build a correct roster. You know, they get the players that fit their coach's system and don't just, you know, smash stuff together and hope it works. So I am hoping that they come in, they get I want Malik Willis to be a thing. I doubt that really happens anytime soon. But like, I hope they come in. I hope they build smartly because I know Zach doesn't necessarily like the idea of the alpha wide receiver anymore, but Burks can be that guy.
Well, I mean, again, I don't think he's a go down the field and get it big guy. I think he's an AJ Brown type player. Like, I think he does amazing things underneath slant, make the play with his legs and his physicality after the catch.
Okay, sorry to interrupt because it just popped in my head. Like, would you call Julio the alpha?
Yeah, Julio's more of an X. Yes.
Is he? Because he, to me, always, his size and speed lent it to the visuals of him being an alpha, but watching him play, he had a lot of, well, time-wise, you have to strike it, reverse it, but like Michael Thomas, like games where he did get a decent amount of underneath and then do something with it, but instead of being good in open space, he could just stiff arm the crap out of a dude because he's gigantic.
Yeah, but I think, again, I think you saw Julio be used more down the field than most of the guys that we're talking about now. And part of that is a function of the way the game has changed a lot in the last 10 years. It really has. And the way wide receivers are used. Yeah. But back to Seth's point, yes, I do think Burks is a buy. His follow-up is he owns Burks, and the London owner wants Burks. Do we pair something with Burks to get London? And I think the answer to that is yeah.
You have to.
No,
Really?
Peter?
No, I got Burks. I think he's undervalued because of an injured first season. Yeah. Which means I expect it to go up. London, I agree. Burks, London is over Burks. I get it. Yeah. But I just think there are better options, if you know what I mean. Like, if I'm going to spend draft capital, I'm not going to go get the same thing. But, like, London, you get in a year 2 good wide receiver for a year 2 good wide receiver.
The question is...
Can I not improve my team instead of move it aside slightly?
Well, what do you think, off the top of your head, should you have to add to Burks to get London?
You probably have to add a second, but I don't know if you should.
Well, we've got number. It would have to be a high second because we can say that at this point. And I would do that if I have Burks and someone wants to trade for him, but I don't think I'd do that to move away. I mean, it'd be fine, but
the analyzer has at about the 207 as the price in between. But like, here's the only time I think to do this, because Seth says that the London manager is interested in Burke. So if that's a switch you want to make, the only reason I do that is if I can do it cheaper than I think I need to normally, because they're the ones initiating the conversation. So if I could...
They want Burke. That's what I mean, though. If they want Burks, my thought isn't how can I give them more. It's is there a Brandon Ayuk and can I get a late first?
Fair enough. Absolutely. To move in a different direction.
A good trade with Burke. That's what I mean. Like trading for London, you're seeding. Okay. I missed that. Sorry, what?
I said Sick Peter is Zach because you brought up the Zach thing of not having to fit within the confines of the question of the two players they're talking about. And you said maybe it's smarter just to go for this to get the better pick on them. Because
that's exactly my
usually
point.
you and I are sitting there in the confines
in
of
my
the question.
opinion,
Zach, like, guys. Told you like start 8.
That's
start
the thing.
8? I don't think I do that.
I like London. That's the thing. I mean, so much of this is a lie. Like, I'd rank London higher. I would value him higher. But, like, I think Burks is that. And so, if you know what I mean, it kind of talking yourself into it. It's like overdrafting a rookie at the late first because you don't want to take the guy who's on the board. It's a mistake. But there's a way of not making a mistake and still doing it. Like, you give him Burks. That's what he wants. But you look for something else. That's all I meant. Otherwise, yeah, add your second if you really like London, but it doesn't sound like you really like London. You just want to get a good trade. He's the one interested in something. He's interested in Burks. Is that too far?
Honestly, because the thing is, I think consensus is that there's a difference between the two. So even if you're not the biggest Burks guy, if you can get to London cheaply and then flip London for London price, that still nets more positive than your original trade. So depends on your league, depends on all of your feelings of all of that stuff. Hey, good evening, Randy.
Yeah, to add a second.
No, I'll take care of this. You just go along for the ride. Randy, 14-team PPR, Superflex, non-tight end premium. I love that we're at the point where people have to specify that it is not tight end premium. Have the 103, 104, 106, 108, 201, 208, and the 313. Rookie pick wise, what would be a good offer for AJ Brown? Already offered the 106, 108, and 224 first for Jefferson and got rejected. You're going to have to 103, 104, and maybe, switch those picks for the 103, 104, and then maybe they'll think about Jefferson. But
even that,
the 6 is probably
no, because all picks is rough in the first place. But like, if you want to send just picks of these for AJ Brown, 14-team Superflex, I think I would need the 103 to be involved without a question, because even if, because the first 3 picks are Bijan and 2 quarterbacks. So if people are a little silly and are going to overvalue quarterbacks that much in a 14-team league, and I get Bijan at the 103, that's worth it already. Yeah. So my first offer would probably be 103, 201, and a 24 first. With all of that stuff, like I don't know how strong of an opening offer that is, but that is still the first offer I would send. But I'd be willing to pay more. Like, let them counter into one of the second firsts in 23.
Yeah, give the 103 and the 108. That's like a top 4 wide receiver in this year's class and a quarterback for Jefferson or AJ Brown would be pretty strong, I would have thought.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't want to give up multiple first this year if I don't have to, and I'd be fine throwing a 24 first, because it looks like he had that, there's already 2 24 first in that offer for Jefferson, so they're not completely draining.
Oh no, first, you're right, sorry.
And if I'm Randy, the 108 is a pick that I'm willing to I know, Russ, we've had this conversation, but like, to me, there are 7 players in this draft that I'm really willing to spend a pick on. So 108 is a little bit, but also you're going to see some quarterbacks. So Will Levis and Anthony Richardson are probably going to be drafted by NFL teams early. I mean, again, we said this last year, so like, you can't say that until it happens, but it looks like there is interest from NFL teams on both of those players. So in a 14-team Superflex, all of a sudden, those, like, that 108 may become valuable. So,
yeah, I think even in 12-team leagues, Addison said today that the Colts are like enamored with Will Levis. So if he goes at, I think it's 6 overall, that's going to push him top 5, 6 in rookie drafts. So that will push one of those players that Zach likes back to the 108. I think you can get creative. My go-to is, if you're feeling iffy about it, send a little bit of a shitty offer and see what they say. And even if they flat out reject, there's nothing wrong with just strengthening it a bit or seeing what they thought was wrong with it. Ooh, wrong button. Here we go. Same league.
Kentucky quarterback. I figured it out. Carry on.
Gotcha. What's a fair offer for Andrews? Only tight ends are Otten, Gronk, Ferguson, and Hendershot. Henderschultz. I keep calling that guy the wrong name, but I keep making it longer every single time. I am the wrong person to ask because I'm still so angry at Mark Andrews for this year. But
so switch it out and say, what would you pay for Kyle Pitts? Because it should be a very similar price. I know it isn't, but it should be.
I don't want to give up the 103 or 104. I'll tell you that much. I would try not to give up the 6 either. I would give up the 8 and the 201 and throw a useful player in and see if that gets me somewhere. Like one of your depth pieces, like a decent wide receiver, running back 2, like low end. See if that gets me somewhere. I would probably be willing in the long run, even in a not premium, to send the 106 because 14 teams having that positional advantage is really nice. But yeah. I hate him. So
You'll
yeah,
come
I was
around.
just wondering, like,
I will. I know I will. But you know what you got to do? You know, I would give you the 106, but Lamar's going to leave. I'm not giving up the 106 for a guy without a quarterback. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I wonder how high the hate's gone after not getting much towards the end, like you say. Now it's the off season and points don't matter, and he's like 1 million years old.
26,
and
yeah. Okay.
Like he's 25th overall in ADP, which shows, you know, he should be really valued. But my first thought was, I think this getting into rookie season, people would consider a single pick. Like I was like, what about the 108? Send the 108 and the 201. See what they say.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Tyler Reeves, I'm trying to trade Pierce and Bateman for Pickens and the 108. Or Pierce for Olave. Neither has responded. I'm getting antsy. That is okay.
The first one is not like the first one I could see potentially happening.
I don't think either of these are super close. First of all, I love that. Like, I read this and I'm like, do they mean Dameon Pierce or Alec? No one's talking about Alec Pierce. Why is that in my head? See, here's the thing. If you're talking Bateman or Pickens, to me, that's even value-wise.
Yeah, so the 108 and Pierce is not close.
Very far apart these days. So I don't think that's super close. I don't want Pierce right now. Like, the Texans, being the poorly run organization that they are, probably don't care about winning. They just want to get, fans in the stands. In which case, they might just draft full-on offensive players the entire draft, which means if they draft a running back in rounds 3 or 4, which is better or the same draft capital as Pierce's value is in the tank.
Yeah.
And the season can start and Pierce can have every single carry, but we don't know that in between May and September. And in non-point scoring season, it's our brains that make up the value. It has nothing to do with reality. So I don't think this is anywhere close. And I'm sorry, man.
That one is
miles off.
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I need to put this one in the analyzer because I need to. And I know they still have a very good value on Pierce.
Olave.
They put Alec Pierce in there.
What, top 10?
Nah.
Top 12?
Well, I'm not looking at ADP. I'm putting it in the analyzer.
Well, no, I'm thinking ADP. Like, he's got to be top.
January ADP is on the site.
12. Oh, no, I don't have.
And Pierce is running back 20. I guess getting hurt and not having a strong end to the season. This is the difference of. See, I'm even surprised that they only have it as a 24 first or the 110. Like, that seems like it should be further apart to me. But this is straight up. This isn't getting close. It's the difference of J.K. Dobbins. Like it's far.
But I do think you're in the right frame of mind trying to trade Pierce. I just don't think
Yes.
you're not going to get the value that you would have in the preseason when PFF was pumping up Pierce, and then like
even like week 10 when you
Yeah.
got a little into the season, like throw Pierce and Bateman at Olave. Like that's still a big win if they take that.
And you're looking at a free agent class of Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny, Jamal Williams. Like there are players who can unseat Pierce without even and that's without talking about this rookie class that's really deep at running back.
I mean, Tyler follows up the thing right away with what are some good landing spots for some free agents.
There you go. Yep. Houston would be a great one.
Texans are a very, very good one. I mean, imagine if the Falcons come in and draft a very early quarterback, sign Saquon, and without even trying, and like draft 6 or 7 offensive linemen. They have a fantastic offense.
Yeah.
Like right away. You know, there's a lot of very good places. Miami. I know Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert were doing well enough, but like, you know, that's not what they want. You know, like they won't go after Saquon, I'm sure, but I mean, probably not even Josh Jacobs, because even until whatever happened with Christian McCaffrey, because everyone kept getting hurt, Shanahan's teams never goes for that stud running back. So like maybe they grab Alexander Madison and some other random dude, and like there's a lot of landing spots. So, and yeah, I'm going back to just not being a fan of Pierce now. Out of my 4 running backs, which 2 are you keeping and selling? Pierce, Jacobs, Dobbins, and Stevenson. 12-team Superflex start 11. It's the non-point scoring season. You sell all of them if you can get good value for them.
Jacobs is probably the one that you can't get a decent value on.
But
So I'd keep him.
yeah,
But
I'm curious to
try.
see. I want March to come, because I'm excited to see what would happen with Josh Jacobs, like where he goes and what it's going to do for his value. Like if he goes to Miami, like will he start getting that top 5 dynasty RB respect after scoring one for the past 4 years? Like, honestly, I get rid of all of them. If you can get someone who believes in what Dobbins looked like and that he'll get better, and someone who will buy into that, I'm on this team, I want to be the guy for this team that he was screaming at everyone, you can sell him. Honestly, I hold on to Stevenson. He's probably the only one here I hold on to, because dude was what, like RB 13, if maybe not more, and you're never going to get that price for him.
Well, that's where he is right now in DLF. ADP is RB 13. And if I can get RB 13 price for him, like absolutely.
Yeah, he's in Nick Chubb, Joe Mixon, Stevenson, Derrick Henry. Man, Tony Pollard. I don't know if it's take lock that I refuse to believe Tony Pollard's should be this high.
Same.
Because he was doing really, really well, regardless of Zeke's appearance.
He had an amazing season. Yeah.
He had a very good season, and for some reason, I'm still just not willing to do it.
He looks good. Like he looks, and I was on in the camp of, you know, you've seen Tony Pollard in spurts, and it's easy to be Alex Cora. You guys are not Red Sox fans and not probably paying attention back when the Red Sox were pretty good, 10 years ago or so. Alex Cora was playing middle infield for them, and they would put him in situations where he could succeed.
Uh-huh.
And so he had like 60 at bats and he was hitting like 380. And all of the Red Sox fans were like, you got to play him. He's got to come in and hit. He's great. And then someone got hurt. I think Pedroia got hurt, and they had to play Alex Cora, and he hit 220 for the rest of the season. And so like guys like that, where you see them in small sample size in situations where they are specifically put in to succeed. And I feel like that's a trap. But then you saw Pollard do it even in situations where he wasn't supposed to succeed. And it's like,
yeah, he did pretty well.
He's pretty good.
Like, can't you just, like, we're talking football.
Lamar
just say
Miller.
Yes, it's same idea.
Yeah.
Trade Addicts 1. Someone just traded.
Actually, it's a
CeeDee
similar
Lamb.
thing with Christian Watson this year.
Yeah.
But I don't think I don't think
on a smaller sample size as far as concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. I yelled Alex Cora like 6 times at my podcast app while you were talking about Christian Watson.
You ready to get upset, Peter? Someone traded CeeDee Lamb.
Just trade for Marcus Brown and Brandon Ayuk, man. That's what this list of running backs makes me think of.
Someone traded CeeDee Lamb for Christian Kirk and Dallas Goedert. And then I get the offer from this same person of J.K. Dobbins for Jerry Jeudy in a second.
Tell me you want CeeDee Lamb.
Okay, so let's move on. Dwinwell Fenton have no rookie picks in this year's draft to finish second place. What should I realistically expect for Deontay, Gabe Davis, Jacoby Myers as far as draft compensation? Might be willing to sell Saquon or Pollard. Clearly, we're saying sell Pollard because I can't. Yeah. Plus, he's like 25, 26 already. He's a free agent. Like, he's going to go somewhere else, and people are going to expect the world of him, and he might not be good somewhere else. We, tomorrow, go watch the DLF trade show because we talked about Deontay Johnson, that he's wide receiver 30 in January ADP, and that's low. And his trade value is down there. So I don't think you're getting what you need for Deontay. It's rough. Gabe Davis, if you find the right person in your league.
Gabe Davis is the micro market play. Yeah. Like it's going to come back around, but you're going to have to wait for it. I would not trade Gabe Davis now. Same thing. You're absolutely right on Deontay Johnson. Jacoby Myers is the same thing. He's going to produce more than what you're going to get for him. So I mean, those are all players that it's really tough to get draft capital back for them. Pollard is the answer on that team.
But
I'm wondering how much time we could save if we made a sell Gabe Davis drop. We could just push a button. Seems to be half.
Well, but you gotta wait for the sell, Peter. You can't just sell him. Like you can't sell him.
Gotta wait for the window.
Well, he has island games.
Would he not be in one though?
So if he catches 4 touchdowns in a game, you'll have your time. If he doesn't, then you're just gonna have to hold. But honestly, like it's depending on what your team looks like, your league looks like, I should say. I love having Gabe Davis as my wide receiver 3 or 4 because he has those ceiling games.
Oh yeah, it's great. Just find that person who thinks it's going to become a regular thing.
Okay, you are not getting a first right now for Deontay, Gabe Davis, or Jacoby. Definitely not Jacoby Myers, but he's also a free agent. See where he goes. Just let there be hype when he gets signed somewhere else. There are worse things in the world.
Players to trade for, not to trade away.
Yeah, like there's worse things in the world than missing out on a good draft.
I think I'm lagging less than usual.
Well, no, you just like interrupting me, and I understand that. Just don't sell to get in here. Just if it comes to you, it comes to you. Just don't force it. Jer, what side do you prefer, Sutton and the 101 or the 104, 107, 109 in a 1 quarterback league? Sutton and the 101. Easy.
Yep. Yeah, because the 107 again, you're outside of that range because you take away 2 quarterbacks. So in a 1 quarterback league, there are 5 picks that I'm interested in, and I had a tweet at me from Puff Pass, so I know he Puff Pass Kick. Sorry,
yes,
he is in here often, and it's the 2 quarterbacks in a super flex, and so if we're talking 1 quarterback, you're taking those out. It's Bijan Robinson, it's Jahmyr Gibbs, it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, it's Jordan Addison, and it's Quentin Johnston. Like those are the 5 players and the 2 quarterbacks that was Stroud and Young that I'm really interested in right now. And to me, the order of that right now goes Young, Stroud, and then it goes Bijan Robinson, Young, Stroud. I don't even know why I skipped Bijan. He's the automatic
at this point. You just it's assumed.
And then to me, it's Jackson Smith and Jigba, then Addison, then Gibbs, then Quentin Johnston. Like that's how I'm making those plays.
I'm gonna end up with too much Quentin Johnston when I keep seeing these highlights of him mossing people in the end zone.
He does some really cool stuff, but there's some other pieces to his game that are a little bit deficient. I mean, but he's very good.
I need him to fall to the end of the first in that like JJ Arthego-Whiteside spot, and then I will have him on every single.
They're going to be he's probably going to end up being. So my guess is consensus is going to be Bijan, 2 quarterbacks, Gibbs, and then Quentin Johnston. Like I think that's going to be consensus.
Interesting.
Yeah,
good. Let that happen so I can get JSN or Addison.
And Addison. I just saw somebody tweet out that they were in a league that does their rookie draft now, and JSN fell to 109. Yeah,
I'm gonna be trading into the dash draft. You know, that starts happening. I suck at fantasy football.
I keep thinking about that.
Yeah, you are lagging pretty bad.
JSN falling into the 108 range. That's
I'm
interesting this year. Sorry, Karen.
12-team, 1 QB, PPR, start 9.5 tight end premium. Have Cousins, Tua, Barkley, Higgins, Ayuk, Judy, Juju, Boyd, Pitts, Dulcich, 102, 104, 107, 108, 111, and 224 firsts. Good for you. Tried trading Barkley for a second and top QBs like Lamar, Herbert, Murray. No one would bite, and I'm not sure what to do at QB now. Those people are crazy.
It's also a 1 QB league. Don't do anything.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying like they should have done that and then told you that was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Don't trade Saquon for those quarterbacks. Getting those quarterbacks is the right move. Still, well.
Yeah, I don't mind going and getting one.
It's 1 QB.
Not Murray right now, at least. But
not for Barkley.
Yeah, you shouldn't be trading Barkley, no less something on top of him.
Yeah.
For well, yeah, we are looking at Dynasty. Hold on. I mean, let's just look at the very first quarterback, who is Josh Allen, has an ADP of the 28th player. Saquon Barkley is the 13th player. And clearly those don't always equate to trade values, but like that's the first quarterback. So, I mean, those guys are after. So don't worry, you'll figure something out.
I like the idea of going and getting a top 5 quarterback.
Cousins.
But you do it because people don't value it, not because they value it more.
Ooh, or trade into the end of the first. Go grab younger Stroud.
Yeah.
And ride Cousins for another year or two, and then you'll have a most likely top something QB after that. Andrew, Daniel Jones or Deshaun Watson? Thanks, gents.
It's Watson, but yeah.
I love Daniel Jones. He's my boy now that I won 2 championships with him.
Yeah. Russ, I love you. Oh, these are the things that you need to have your notebook out when your league mates say things like that, because like that's a real psychological.
Russ is dumb. Gotcha.
No. But that's like a real psychological thing. Like the players that win you leagues, people get attached to. The players that lose them leagues, people have this irrational hatred for. You're Mark Andrews. Like you're saying, I can't stand Mark Andrews. And I just saw somebody say Mark Andrews really stumbled the second half of the year because there was a comparison to Kyle Pitts, and I'm like, they had the same thing happen. Just Andrews played through it, and Pitts was injured bad enough that he couldn't. Like that was not Mark Andrews playing. That was the husk of Mark Andrews trying to do what was best for the Ravens with a knee injury and a shoulder injury. So don't sit there and think you're getting 6 points a game next year. But again, looking at this, Andrew, it's as much as I hate to say it, it's Watson. Like Watson is a much better player, a much higher ceiling than Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones is going to be an undervalued quarterback this year coming in. He's going to be like that the next,
just like he was last year coming in.
The next guy after Cousins, where you're going, I'm happy with Daniel Jones because he's got pretty good rushing ability. They may actually put receivers with him. So
they I don't care how early it is.
Hodgins looks nice though.
They should take that. They should take a wide receiver at their first spot. Don't care. Daniel Jones. Hold on, let me click the right button. 13 QB 13 overall in points per game.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. He was good.
I mean, he was like you said, he's in that chunk of replaceable QBs, but he's super cheap and he's safe because of that rushing floor.
Yep.
And if they get wide receivers, maybe he'll start throwing for some touchdowns. Gavin, what should I ask for on top of Devonta Smith for my Chris Olave? They have the 105 through the 108, I'm assuming. I have the 202 and 209. Pick swap? Oh, man. I would love... I like Chris Olave a lot. I really, really do. Plus, I talked to John Bosch way too much, who loves Chris Olave. I would do this all day. Trade down from Olave to get Devonta Smith. If you can... I don't think you'll get the 108. Like, maybe if you do the 108 and the 202, so it's just like 6 picks back, I would love that all day.
I think you're overrating the community mind on Devonta Smith. Like I think people are much higher on Olave than they are on Smith. I think Smith is still pretty underrated. There's still that stigma of him being tiny, even though he was amazing this year.
Wide receiver 14 in ADP.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's
what he should be.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Man, I really would love to get up into that 105 though.
There's a disconnect between ADP and what people feel. I know it's kind of taboo to mention it, but like everyone hates Devonta Smith. We have him as a wide receiver 14, and they still hate him. I mean, really, it's like really we were just talking about with Pierce. He's a running back 13, but everyone hates him. No one wants it.
Well, Pierce was the running back 20.
The person, to be clear.
The problem with DLF's ADP. I am in a mock every single month. Superflex. John Hogue is in every single mock. Ryan McDowell is in every single mock. Like, there's enough groupthink going on, and there's enough bias of the people that we know going on.
Yeah,
I have never let Devonta Smith fall very far. I have him on a lot of my mocked teams. Yeah. Like, and you know, if Higgins ever fell to the second, I'm absolutely grabbing him. So like, and of course, 6 is not the biggest sample size, but you know, one draft doesn't completely skew it. Oh, but we can actually tell you, Devonta Smith went as high early as 17, which was not me. I took him at 19 in mine, and as late as 38. Yeah, never mind. I'm wrong. Yeah, I value Smith too high.
Oh, but again, I think that's
I think you're right.
But compared to what you might be able to get away with more.
Yeah. So like what I would be trying to do is do the pick swap, like you said, but I would be trying to get the 105. I would be trying to go the 202 and Olave to get Devonta Smith in the 105 and be very happy with it.
209 for the hell of it. See if it gets you anything.
I don't care about the 209. So if that gets it done, do that, Gavin. But what you're getting is Devonta Smith, who is a very good ascending young wide receiver. You're giving up a very good ascending young wide receiver, but you're getting another very good young ascending wide receiver. You're in that range where you're getting Jackson Smith and Jigba or Jordan Addison.
Hey, Alan. Mr. Scampers hopes you feel better, Peter.
Thank you. Me too.
It hasn't worked yet.
12-team Superflex, 0.5 PPR, the 109, and Corral for the 1. Corral is not moving you anywhere.
Right. If that gets it done, then take the 107, but it's not.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, if you're thinking of offering the 109 and Corral for the 107, sorry, that's most likely going to get rejected. But if someone offered you that for you to get the 107, you do that. Andrew Carlson, 102 in single QB PPR. Is it Gibbs or is there a discussion? You want to go first?
It's not Gibbs for me. But, I mean, there is a discussion.
Right.
Yeah, I break ties to running backs.
Yes.
So if I have them in the same tier, then it's going to be the running back. I don't have them in the same tier. To me, the tiers are in a one quarterback league. The tiers are Bijan Robinson, tier 1. Tier 2 is Jackson Smith and Jigba and Jordan Addison. Tier 3 is going to be Gibbs. But there is some I'm not saying that is the way things are. Look, I fully cop to the fact that I don't have all the answers. I will be wrong on some of my evaluations, but I've dialed this process in enough so I'm usually getting more right than I get wrong at this point. And it's just a matter of trial and error. And
it is frustrating
things
to watch him do it.
But
you draft well. It's the worst. I hate it.
But again, it's been. I mean, I've been doing this since 2015. Watching players and trying to figure out.
I have been doing things for longer since 2015, and I'm still awful at them, Zach.
Yeah, well, but
I think right now, January 18th, you're going to find a majority of the people saying that Jahmyr Gibbs is the 102, and purely it will be because he's a running back, nothing else. Well, because he's a good running back. Let's be fair.
He's a great pass catcher.
Yeah. When the draft comes around, if he falls a little bit, if he lands with a team that doesn't seem to know how to use, if he gets drafted by the Bills, I'm going to be so annoyed. They want a pass catching running back so much, but I don't think they know what to do with one when they get one.
It's okay. Have him return kicks. That's fine.
So a lot of it depends on where he falls, or if these early wide receivers go to shitty teams, or if they fall out of the first round. There's so much that can happen, but I will say right now, I think most of the world will have Gibbs at 2. What's your top 5 draft picks, Peter?
It's what single quarterback? It's Gibbs, Robinson, those 2 wide receivers, and undecided from there. I think I have.
I'm surprised you have those 2. Those 4. Good for you, man.
No, I roughly know the first 7 or so.
Okay. What's up, Kevin? Steven, I hope you feel better. Peter, feel better already. They're rooting for you.
Thank you very much.
Saquon or the 104?
No, they shouldn't. I'm not worth it.
Whoa. Wow. What? Saquon or the 104, Ken Walker, Javonte Williams, J.K. Dobbins, and Cam Akers?
Is that all of it, or each of these individually?
I don't. If it's for all of them, you take all of them, no matter how much you like Saquon.
But if it's each of them individually, it's Saquon over any of the individual pieces.
That makes a lot more sense when you say it out loud. Yes, I take Saquon over them individually. If there's any combination, especially if it's super flex, I will take the 104. I don't even really like Ken Walker, but I would do it. I'd probably take the 104 and J.K. Dobbins. That's probably it.
Walker's
probably should do it with Javonte, but I want to see that. I'm at the point where I want to see him play, and I'm fine waiting.
Walker's currently being valued over Saquon Barkley, and it blows my mind.
Next week, Addison and I will be doing players that we think are overvalued in January's ADP. And on my list of that is Kenneth Walker at RB. I think he's 3. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, 3 or 4, which is very high.
4. Thankfully, Breece Hall's ahead. Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall, Ken Walker. It's too high.
Yeah.
Order 66. Thoughts on Trey Lance's future? Now,
I'm for it.
Before you say what you really think, do you think what happens in the playoffs
absolutely
matters?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah?
Because if they win the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, there's no way they can go look at that fan base and say, yeah, we're going to play Trey Lance, who's been okay. They can't do it. I watched it happen. Look, I watched it happen. I was here in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003 in New England when the pick 199 came in and supplanted not Trey Lance, who has only played 6 games,
I
supplanted
love
Drew Bledsoe,
Drew Bledsoe.
who was a Pro Bowl quarterback.
He was good when he was young.
And Brady came in and won this. And I'm not comparing Purdy to Brady, but the situation is similar. And Brady came in and won the Super Bowl. And immediately Belichick went, all right, I got to trade. And he traded him in the division to Buffalo.
To the Bills.
Like, so to sit there and think that, and I had this conversation the other day, I think it was with Andrew Hall, where he was like, there's no way, look at all the draft capital. I'm like, dude, that doesn't, like, it doesn't
After
matter. Once it's already spent, that sunk cost fallacy. Like,
yeah, but
it's already spent
that in football.
It's already spent. If you have a good player playing, that draft capital doesn't matter anymore. It's gone.
I love the way John Hogue thinks about it. John Hogue would say, if you're the 49ers, you step back. You think you spent the 103 on Trey Lance. You spent the last pick on Brock Purdy, which means together you spent the 103 and that last pick. It doesn't matter anymore who was which.
Right.
Your total cost on quarterback was this.
Yep.
If you have someone playing like this, that's all that matters. And if it is Brock Purdy, first of all, that's an amazing effing story. Literally, Mr. Irrelevant comes in and wins the Super Bowl and does it well. Like, he's not surviving by the defense and the running game. He's scoring. He's throwing touchdowns.
Now, I don't think Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl. And I don't think, like, I think he's been good and it's been a good story, but I don't think he's been as good as people think he has. By the same token, I don't think Lance has the upside for NFL teams that fantasy football thinks he does.
Because fantasy.
We correlate fantasy points. I mean, this is a fantasy football. This was where Tim Tebow was a top 6 quarterback one year, and he only threw for like 200 yards in a game twice.
I won the championship.
Yeah, that's so there's a disconnect between what fantasy football thinks of Trey Lance and what Trey Lance is for an NFL team right now. I mean, I don't think Trey Lance is as polished as Ben. People want to compare him to Hurts. People want to compare him to Lamar Jackson. He's not as polished a thrower as either of those guys were in college.
But everyone thought those two were trash passers coming into the league, whether they were or weren't. That was the rap on both of them.
No, they were
good. Yeah, but Lamar playing running back, like
but I mean, they both, Lamar in his last season at Louisville would start to go through progressions against zone defense and figure out where his open receivers were and stay in the pocket and use his rushing ability as the weapon instead of the weapon. And the same thing with Hurts. Like, Hurts was a much better downfield thrower than people gave him credit for.
That dude has a cannon.
Yeah, and so to me, it's I like the idea of Lance. I still like the idea of having Lance, but I mean, Peter and I have gone back and forth with this. When Trey Lance was QB 17, that was an absolute buy. When he came up to QB like 8, yeah, that is a sell because you lose any of the meat on the bone. So, like, to me, Lance is a quarterback in fantasy that I'm playing his ADP. If he goes down low, yeah, you got a hellacious ceiling. If he goes way up high and is still not starting, then I don't want that.
You want to hear something funny?
What's that?
1 QB ADP, Trey Lance QB 13, Brock Purdy QB 17.
Yep. Yeah, he's come all the way up. That's
like,
wild.
if they really, really want to, like, they could trade either of them, keep Jimmy as the backup, and they're great in a great position.
You kind of, if I'm San Francisco after this season, I kind of do the King Solomon, like split the baby. Like, I say, okay, both of these guys deserve to start somewhere. Make us an offer.
Yeah.
And then you trade the one you don't want.
It would be
and
dumb
then
not
you
to do that.
you solve all your problems because you gave them both an offer, but you actually kept the one you want. So the guy who got traded isn't upset, but the guy you kept knows that yeah, we had offers for you too, but we wanted to keep you, so you solve a whole bunch of issues that way.
Yeah, I think that's the right move. Real Misfit Toys, 12-team, Superflex, PPR, start 9. What side are you on? Nick Chubb and the 307, or I'm guessing that's Mike Williams and David Montgomery? Oh, that's Nick Chubb.
Chubb.
I mean, hashtag Team Clemson big wide receiver and all, but that's Nick Chubb pretty easily. David Montgomery, 2019, 2021, 22.
Free agent. Yes, he is.
I always have to count on my hands the 4 years. Z Master Pro. I traded Pickens and the 111 for Olave. How did I do?
That's a win.
Fantastic.
Yep.
That's a very good trade. Kevin, how you feeling about Jordan Love? No. Worth stashing? No. Well, yes, worth stashing because there's going to be, if he comes in and throws 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and like 260 yards in the first game, someone will buy into that. So you don't want to stash him to keep him. You want to stash him to move him when someone goes a little too crazy.
I have my my Jordan Love write-up.
Oh no.
The last paragraph of the Jordan Love write-up is Jordan Love is going to disappoint some people looking to snag that next late round Superflex gem. Perhaps they should be looking at Jalen Hurts instead.
I remember watching that draft after the Raiders went and drafted Ruggs, which turned out however it turned out. But I'm sitting there screaming, draft Hurts now. I remember that, like I wanting that pairing, and then like Love, like, oh, that draft was so weird. And all right, yeah. Flowosaurus, 12-team Superflex, PPR, start 10. Fields, ooh, this is a big one. Fields and AJ Brown for Lamar Pickens. Or conversely, Russ and AJ Brown for Lamar and Pickens. Absolutely not Fields and AJ Brown for Lamar and
I would keep AJ. Keep AJ Brown, keep Fields.
Fields and Lamar would be a fun super flex pairing, though. But I don't think you do it at the cost of AJ Brown.
Right.
Like I would love if I can, especially if I can put Russ and something else and take Pickens out of it, even though it seems like maybe Pickens is something you want to go after. But Lamar owner wants to, oh no, this is about Lamar. Absolutely. See what you can pile that isn't AJ Brown on top of Russ Wilson. Because just looking at your roster and seeing Fields and Lamar, you will giggle inside every time you look at your roster. And that's part of what I play for.
Do you think you would get more traction with Geno Smith?
Yes.
Rather than Russ?
Sure.
So
send both.
Yeah.
I don't really care about having 3 quarterbacks on my super flex teams, especially when it's them 2 as my 2.
Right.
Yeah, feel out the other person, see which they like better. I have 0-23 picks. Like you don't have to have picks. Like I have plenty of teams with 0 picks on it. Drew Branley, 12-team Superflex, 0.5 PPR. I'm guessing that's Herbert, Watson, Darnold, Corral, Jonathan Taylor, Rashad White, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London. A lot of these people just I feel like these people listen to us when we talk, when how good of wide receiver course they all have. Dotson, Deontay, Bateman, Komet, Okonkwo, Noah Fant. I have the 104, 109, 111, 112, 204. This team ready to compete. Suggestions? No. But you're building a great core.
Yeah.
Honestly, I sell Jonathan Taylor if you can get a good cost for him. Pair him with Watson. Go get Hurts. Go get Allen, Mahomes. Like do what you can to, because with the wide receiver core of Lamb and what we're assuming London is going to turn into, everything we said about Burks, like you have enough there. Plus, at the 104, you can go and take, if you like Gibbs, you get Gibbs. But if not, you can fill that wide receiver spot that if you wanted to trade one of those guys too with Addison or JSN. Like, you're in a very good spot to build an insanely solid team for a very long time. So I think part of that is moving off of the high-priced running back, and my personal bias will always say pair him with Watson to get out of that. But also, again, looking down and seeing Herbert and Josh Allen as your quarterbacks, you'll always feel good about your team.
I think the other thing that I am going to look to do with this is one of those later firsts, and pair that with one of your tight ends, probably Kmet, because I think Kmet's probably the one that people are most interested in. Although maybe Okonkwo, like, he had a pretty good end of the season.
No, you trade Kmet because you'll get better production with Okonkwo, at least as of right now.
Well, but I mean, you trade whichever one is more valuable, and you go try to get Kittle or Andrews, one of the tight ends that people are a little bit down on, but are still those, bulls of the woods.
And again, you have the 109, 111, 112. Pair that with Dotson, one of those with Dotson, and get a solid wide receiver. Like, it doesn't have to be a flashy young name, but you get someone who has that solid output.
You know what else I think? You know what else I think is a sneaky play right now? And I know he doesn't have all of his picks listed, but if you've got like a 3rd round pick, Rashad Penny is a free agent right now. No. A 1st round running back who's never been healthy, and when he's been healthy, he's been fantastic. And he's going somewhere else. Somebody's going to pay him for a 3rd round pick. I'll do that.
Yeah, for a 3rd round pick, I know, but just like that was the dumbest draft pick ever. He was the best 3rd round running back draft.
No, it wasn't even the dumbest draft pick ever, because the Patriots took Sony Michel.
Well, yeah, they took Sony Michel and used him wrong, so I guess that's worse.
And they could have taken Lamar Jackson.
And I was at running back. Come on, we went over this. He's not a running back. Zach.
He was a wide receiver, wasn't he? Isn't that what everyone said? That's what Polian said.
He was stupid. Who knows? Scapegoat. Speaking of scapegoats, Lombardo getting fired out of Los Angeles as the OC instead of Staley going.
That's not good for Eckler. You'll hear about that on the Trade Addicts pod this week.
Apparently, we'll hear a lot of things on the Trade Addicts pod this week. Who else always had faith in Daniel Jones?
Hey, no, you guys can all stand on your second tier, because I put him in the Hall of Fame in his very first preseason game.
Fair enough. You did.
Talk to Rich Eisen. He knows.
And I will. Yeah. Okay. Always is a very strong word, because I severely disliked the draft pick at the time. Mostly because of when he was drafted. Like, I remember, it's stupid to think, exactly like I said before with like John Hogue's line of thinking. They had 2 picks in the first, and I thought it was stupid of them to take him with their first instead of the second, where in the long run, does it really matter which of those they picked him with? Like, yeah, like maybe they could have gotten a better person at the first, but like in the long run, whatever. He's good enough. He's not going to win you a fantasy. Oh, he did win me a fantasy championship, but not he was on a team that won. But he's good. I like him. I think he's done more than enough to be a start. Like, I think the Giants make a contract for him. And if not, someone will. Like, I think he's shown enough that he will be a starter in the NFL. Gavin, how can I become a member of a Trade Addicts League? Didn't you fill out the form? Search through my Twitter, and I tweeted out at some point today a tweet saying who wants to be in a Trade Addicts League, and there's a Google form link. Fill that out. I filled 2 spots today. Well, I filled one spot today because the other guy still hasn't responded to me. I'm gonna say that hurts my freaking feelings, by the way. Like, and it's completely illogical because like people have lives and people are busy, but like in the middle of the day, I pick a winner, and I like, hey, you want to be in a Trade Addicts League? And that was 3:00, and they still haven't answered me. And I'm just like, well, fuck you, buddy. So I'm slowly filling them, and I have an unfortunate amount of openings. Plus, we're starting TA 11, so plenty of spots. I'll probably tweet it out again tomorrow, but I don't tweet much, so if you just click on my profile, it'll be one of the first few tweets down there. Just fill out the Google form, and I'm picking people at random. That's how it goes. Real Misfit Toys, 12 teams, Superflex, start 9. Kyler or Daniel Jones and the 209.
Kyler.
Yes, that is still Kyler. Kyler's the QB 12 in January ADP. I know it's not going to be fair because everyone's just going to think, oh, he's hurt. But it's still like this. If you believe in Kyler, this is what you try and do to go get him now. Assuming you have like a Geno or someone on your team or a Daniel Jones on your team that you can start for the first half of the season and still feel okay about it. Gary, 10 team, Superflex, 2 QB, sent an offer of Kamara for Algier and a 24 first. Tried to buy 24 picks before our inaugural rookie draft. Thoughts? Kamara's not worth a first. Like, if you can get it, that's awesome. Kamara's not worth a first. He's 27-ish, 28. Most likely going to be suspended for the first few games of the season and hasn't been good for a while.
Yeah.
But buying 24 picks is 1000% the right idea. So, cool. Yes, do that. I don't know if that's the right trade, but if it works, that's awesome.
And the 24 class should have some solid quarterbacks up at the top of that.
Kamara. Wow. RB 23. Yeah, he's 27 and a half right now. So he'll be 28 by next season. That's old. Joe McCarter, thanks for doing this show. You're welcome. It's my favorite Dynasty content.
I appreciate you, Joe. It's really Peter, though.
Thank you, Joe.
And I'll be watching all off season.
I'm trying. I swear to God, I'm trying.
No, you don't even have to, man.
You look
seriously. Good. My question is: this rookie class super flat between the 107 and like 204? It's like one giant tier.
It's every rookie class is flat after the top, but this is a bigger top tier than most rookie classes.
I think you find the real, and I think like this is, more of a Peter thing, like things that real better draft classes are the draft classes where you don't have that. There's a lot of top tier talent, which is going to make a lot of people say this is an amazing draft class. But like, if we run out
I'm
of
really
people,
just starting, but sorry, I thought you were coming. Sorry.
No, go, because I was pretty much.
Like, it's been 20 minutes. Have we really been here an hour already? It's a really interesting draft class, especially because I'm only just getting into it, and people already seem to be talking themselves out of the best prospects. Like, yeah, sure, JSN had one of the best seasons of anyone in this class, but Quentin Johnson's really tall. Like, what? Like, he looks good. Don't get me wrong, but why are we overthinking that?
No.
Jordan, what's his second name?
Addison.
Thingamajig?
You remember Addison?
Didn't put a foot wrong. Like, name your best prospect. He did that. And yet we're like, yeah, but maybe it's someone else. And I think we're going to mega brain ourselves into a lot of things.
I will always point to us pushing Juju down into the second. It was the dumbest thing ever. He was talked about for
Juju
so
that
long.
year, but those... Yeah, sorry, Karen. I can't remember who else was.
Kamara, Kareem Hunt. Yeah.
Oh, and it was a very big class, but not really for wide receivers, except for the 101.
That was Corey Davis and Mike Williams, that class.
101 and the 107. We talk about players for so long that all of a sudden we get tired of saying the good things over and over again. Then all of a sudden Saquon Barkley cuts to the outside too often.
And Joe, I also think that it's getting worse because you had this massive influx of people coming into fantasy football and specifically Dynasty with the pandemic. And so now there are more people than ever that are plugged in. There are more people than ever that are analyzing this. And we've literally been talking about the 2023 class since preseason of 2021. So basically the entire pandemic has been the 2023 class.
Yeah.
And so people are sick of talking about it. A lot of people who are talking about it, and I had a tweet a couple of weeks ago that said this, like, do people know that Jackson Smith and Jigba is a slot receiver? And if not, are they going to be super disappointed? And then like 2 weeks later, everyone is like, "Oh, this class is terrible." Like, he didn't change. He's still the guy that outproduced Olave and Wilson in that Ohio State offense. Like, it's a good class, but to your point, Joe, like, yeah, it is pretty flat after those. But there are a lot of good players after the 107. They're just not elite players. But you're going to find the longer you play Dynasty, and maybe you've been playing forever, but most classes don't have 7 players that you're really interested in. They don't. Or at least not that I'm really interested in.
I think
Not to mention a few of them on hit.
Yeah. I mean,
you'll find people that will, like me, that will just fall in love with certain players in those tiers, and that's what you take advantage of. But I think the better way to describe a good draft class is when it doesn't just fall flat after the top group of studs.
Yeah, but it's not a bad flat though, Russ. Like, it's not like most classes where they drop off. Like, so I go out of 100, right? And so, like, my top players are usually somewhere between 80 and 76, like out of 100. Saquon was like an 86, like that's unheard of. And like this class, it drops down like after that tier to like low 70s, which is still like they're still good players, it's interesting. They're not first round, but they're not the elite players, but there's still a lot of good players, and there are going to be running backs that hit out of this class. There's probably going to be a couple other receivers that hit out of this class. Like it's a good class.
Andrew, yes, you should trade Tony Pollard for Treylon Burks in a second.
Yep, I like that.
Can I get a 23 first for Miles Sanders? You would be very lucky if you did.
2 years ago, Beast. 2 years ago.
I still believe in the talent. Is he an agent? Free agent? I can't remember. Yeah.
I do believe he is. I actually have the free agent running back class pulled up right now, Russ. Yes, he is.
I can count on my fingers.
I don't math. Sorry. This is fantasy football. I'm off work.
Andrew Davidson, 10-team Superflex, trying to trade away Dak for a retooling year. Best offer I've gotten is a 24 first that will likely be top 4 or so. There's way too much time to say that. Yeah. Think that's worth pursuing, or should Dak command more? Okay. 2 things. Should is a wonderful statement, but your league's market is what your league's market. If there's no one that wants to pay more, he shouldn't get more. If you want to deal him away, you just have to deal with what's in front of you. 10-team makes okay quarterbacks less important, and Dak is seen as one of those okay quarterbacks, and I think he is one of those. And by okay, I mean not top 2 tiers, like out of the top 7.
Yeah.
So I want more than a 24 first in general when I'm trading Dak away. And the problem is, right away, you're making this other team a lot better by giving them Dak Prescott. So that's going to push them a little better. They make another trade or two. That's going to make their team a little better. All of a sudden, they make the playoffs. And you traded Dak for the 24-107. I mean,
yeah.
Of course, that's a whole lot of hypothetical, but that's why it feels not great to trade a stud away just for a pick that's still a season away, or like in season trading for a player for a 23 pick because you trading them that player will make their pick worse. So I don't like the idea of that trade. So I would hold out for more. Plus, Dak's still young enough that if you're just retooling and not full on rebuilding, just hold on to Dak. He's good. Mouth full of gold that probably tastes terrible. How do you change your approach with rosters from lineup to best ball? I honestly don't. I only have one best ball dynasty league, but I really honestly don't change much, mostly because all that matters more. No, what matters more is your starting minimums, your starting requirements. Like, if you need to start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, that's different than starting one of each and then a lot of flexes, like in the trade addicts leagues. Like, that still matters to me more than what super flex, than what best ball or lineup. The only thing that would change is who my bench guys are. Especially the one I'm in is sort of short bench. Like, it's only like 24, 26, maybe. No, not even 26, 22, 24-ish. In which case, I don't have any prospects on my team. But the bottom of my roster is filled with Van Jefferson and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, people that I do not want on my lineup teams because I never want to put them in my lineups because they're going to do garbage for 14 out of 17 games. But those 3 games where they go 2 catches for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns, they'll be in your lineup.
I also look to see if your league has return yardage. That's a neat trick in best ball. And yeah, wide receiver tricks people into thinking it's deep because you have so many wide receivers that can score points in any given random week. And so you can almost roster more of those Van Jeffersons and McCall Hardman. If someone was just interested in general this offseason. Yeah.
Gavin Ferguson, 12-team Superflex. Start 10. Give Jacobs, get London and Burks.
Yes.
Yeah. This is actually, like, I love this because this is respect on Jacobs' name. Like, this is a good value trade to go get Jacobs. Like, I feel like you would normally just see Jacobs for London, and people would think that's normal. But this is good. I like that. I love that return.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's not just disrespect on Burks?
No. I said it for a reason, Zach. Are you disrespecting me right now?
Maybe.
I love it. Like, especially if you are looking to get, I mean, younger's the wrong word because Jacobs is only 24, but if you're either looking to get out on Jacobs before he moves or whatever happens, or rebuilding in any way, shape, or form, this is beautiful. But even if you are looking to compete, this isn't bad. But I am personally not scared for Josh Jacobs' production. Either he stays on the Raiders. Well, it doesn't even matter because his contract is up. He's going somewhere that will pay him. And chances are he will get the money that will require he gets played a lot, you know, at least at the beginning. So, like, I'm not worried about Jacobs. So I don't feel the need to get out of him, but I'm cool with that coming back if that's the case. Sober money. What would you offer for Kyler Murray Superflex using picks? I have the 23, 106, 110, and 203. I would offer those.
Hey, your quarterback with your first.
Yeah, that's yes. If you like, if you have a meh quarterback, like maybe not Daniel Jones level meh, but like around that. If you have Kirk Cousins in the 106. But like honestly, I'd be cool sending those 3 picks.
Yeah.
For Kyler Murray because yes, he's hurt. Yes, who cares what? Okay, it's just the dog, not my kids. Kids better be sleeping. I don't care that Kyler is hurt. I don't care that they don't have a coach because Kyler Murray is there. He is tied there. He is stuck there with that contract for at least like 2 more years, which means the coach and GM they bring in is going to be like, hey, you can be our coach, but you have this Kyler Murray that you need to build around. Like, you shouldn't be worried about that. So 106, 110, 203, I would easily. I mean, I'm cheap. See if you can get away with just like the 106 and 203. See what happens. See if they're completely out on Kyler. But I wouldn't feel bad setting those 3 picks because everything we've said, the 110 doesn't command much respect. Like what?
Yeah.
we've turned to respecting assets at this point. Like that's, I guess, a good thing. Spock. What should I do? Whatever makes you happy, man. Like that's what you should do. 12-team Superflex, start 9, no PPR. That'd be weird if it was no PPR, but there was a tight end premium. 0.5 tight end premium. 0.5 times nothing is nothing. QB Kyler and Derek Carr. Well, you're in a little trouble there. ETN Swift, AJ Dillon, Jamar Chase. Again, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra, Deontay, Elijah Moore, Dulcich, McBride, the 104, 105, and 108. Hard to buy QBs in this league. 12 team. Okay. Yeah, you don't have a quarterback to start the season. Me, I will. Okay, so I can't. I don't think you're getting any. Like, I don't think Carr carries any value whatsoever. Like, I don't think you're getting a second for Carr right now, which is a little silly because he's going to start somewhere, but there's no guarantee of that. While I love Kyler, and we've been saying that his rankings is too low and everything, but maybe there's a full-on rebuilding team that you can move Kyler to that might have someone that's worth trading for. Plus, I also would trade away any of those running backs.
Yeah, my first look would be Swift and like the 108 and try to get up into a real good quarterback.
Sorry, like I have to get my dog's nails trimmed, so like I hear every step he's taking, like right above my head.
Chewy.
I want her to come down because I would love to like put her on the camera, but then she'll stay here and start snoring. Tangent. So apparently, my beautiful, wonderful, amazing wife likes to play a game with her friends when I have a CPAP when I sleep because I have sleep apnea. So like I have this thing that goes in my nose and I don't snore when I wear it because it helps me breathe. When I don't wear it, I snore. She likes to play a game, Puppy or Hubby, where she will record both of us snoring and she sends the sound wave to her friends and they have to decide who it was, either me or my bulldog. That's real marriage. That's what marriage is. Also knowing that if I did this with her snoring and the dog, I would not be married. Phil, what type of player would you target in a 1 QB league with 2 seconds? I have the 104 and 105 and wouldn't mind adding an established player with the seconds. That's way too vague, man. If you are competing, I'm still for. You can probably throw one of those seconds and go get Keenan Allen. I mean, that's
Calvin Ridley.
Yeah,
I'd throw both of
the
them.
3 jerseys I have in the drawer next to me: Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen. Don't go trade for Allen Robinson.
The other player, and I don't know if you can get him for 2 seconds, but I like Jameson Williams is a player that I would trade for with the idea that I'm going to trade him again, because right now he's like wide receiver 32. When he gets on the field, he is going to go higher than that. People love him. They love the idea of him. They loved him at Alabama. Like they love Jameson Williams. That's again a micro market play where I would go spend a second or 2 to get a first later for Jameson Williams.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
I'll
let you know when
I know
it does.
Peter's thinking Brandon Ayuk. That's not a bad name.
Nope.
Deontay Johnson, wide receiver 30. Jerry Jeudy, 31.
Marcus Brown, perpetually.
What? Marcus Brown? Yeah.
We know wide receiver that you don't have to spend a second on that and I hate fixing my face to say this because I've been staunchly against the value of Mecole Hardman for his entire career, but he's finally down, wide receiver like 60 to 70 range.
Get anything?
Throw a third. Yeah. So he's a great wide receiver 3, Russ. He's what everybody is hoping. Well, and Peter actually pointed this out, so full credit to Peter, but like he's what everyone was hoping that Gabe Davis was going to be, except for he actually like can create on his own too. So
if you like wide receivers, and even if you just like young wide receivers, there's so many. Like Gabe Davis is wide receiver 39. Like that's
but don't spend seconds on those guys. Don't spend seconds on those guys.
I would send one.
I would not, but
I would send a second for those guys pretty easily. Terry McLaurin.
Yep.
Cooper Kupp is wide receiver 26.
That's wild,
right? While you probably like send 2 seconds and a wide receiver and see what happens, because I told you I pulled off a trade on the DLF trade show. I sent DJ Moore and the 111 for Cooper Kupp.
Huh.
And it was a pure ceiling play. But what makes it amazing is before the season started, I traded DJ Moore in a second for Cooper Kupp. Well, no, I traded Kupp for DJ Moore.
I got you.
Yeah,
reverse it.
Like so, that rental of a little bit, and it's a trade addicts league. It actually went through like 3 or 4 different people. There's so many things you could target with seconds, especially right now, and honestly, almost any running back outside of the top 12. If you wanted to get a running back, which I don't necessarily recommend.
Yeah.
Give Jacobs, get Dotson and Pickens. No.
I would rather have Jacobs. I think the points are there.
Yes, and the value will be over them. I think now, especially with the new rookie class coming in, the polish will fade, especially off of Dotson. Pickens might be too shiny for that to rub off right away, but like they'll need to produce constantly for their value to keep up. And I don't know if they will. Spock, the 201, 206, and 208, and Romeo Dubs, or the 105.
Yeah, you could have 3 Romeo Dubs in that, and it's still the 105.
Yeah, you're compiling so much value, it just doesn't matter.
Oh.
This is so easily the 105. Mitchell traded for the 106. So now I've got the 2, the 6, and the 7 with the receiver core of Ridley, Waddle. I love this. Ridley, Waddle, Devonta Smith, Michael Gallup with Trevor Lawrence. I plan to draft Gibbs at 2, but my question is, should I draft double running back or double wide receiver? Appreciate the guy. Don't plan on what to draft. First of all, who the heck knows who's going to be where? So much. I just forget our names down there. I think we're at the point where we just need to have scrolling down there, draft for value, trade for need. If you are drafting these wide receivers, hoping they fill out your team or hoping that they actually help you this year, it's not right. It's not good process. We are in. We seem to be moving into an era where there are more rookies that contribute faster than they ever have before, but it's not something you can count on, especially when we have a couple of wide receivers like Devonta Smith's rookie year where he, what was it, like 700 yards and like maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And people weren't happy with that. It was a great rookie year. And we've seen the progress ever since then. So definitely you can't plan on positions for sure, like saying I'm going to go double wide receiver, I'm going to go this, I'm going to go that, because you don't know what's going to fall to those picks. Whether if you want to make the moves so you can get 2 wide receivers, that is absolutely something you need to do at the time. But I don't think, especially now, you can go in with that kind of plan.
Well, and I also think you can't plan right now. Like, yes, the guys, everyone's declared. Monday at 4:00 was the deadline for declaration, so we know who's in the draft. But now the next piece is, and we're going to talk a ton in the next 3 months, but we won't actually know the next piece of relevant information until the end of April, because it's draft capital at the end of April. And I know people are going to say combine, but that
I was going to say wrong. People will say the combine.
It doesn't actually, the combine doesn't actually matter, except for it matters to the NFL and it changes draft order. So it doesn't matter to us. accept that it matters to the NFL, and the NFL will tell you what mattered to them when they draft. And so, Mitchell, I think have an idea, but don't have a plan yet. Like that's how I kind of approach this whole process: is have an idea, but you don't want to put anything in pen.
All right, Peter, I think you've been saving your energy for this question. Baker Kid 2, what can we expect from Elijah Moore next season realistically? Is he just a hold until he gains value or sell, or any optimism on being startable eventually?
I don't know. I still want to break down the 22 season a lot more, but it's the off season, so it's a lot easier. The answer is yes. If you can trade for him for like a second, you do it, and you hold him for value because he was a promising young rookie wide receiver who's in a sort of okay situation. And I don't think this year reflected what he can be in the NFL, at least. So yeah, you just hold for value. There's no point trading him for a second. I'd trade him away for a second. I'd trade him for a second if I could. Because at least we know more what he can do in the NFL.
Yep. I like the player. I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Joey Cheese Sticks, love it. Superflex, start 10, PPR, give the 110, 111, and a 25 first. Get CD Lamb, the 205, a 24. Yes, the answer is yes. Yes. Trade that to go get CD Lamb. And you get stuff on top, which is just cool. Because the 110 and 111 are whatever, and the 25 first is so far away.
Yep. Win.
What are you willing to pay for Swift in 2023 picks? I have this weird thing where I'm starting to like Swift at his price now. Like he's finally dropping out of that ridiculous price.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know if this is a good answer for what I just said, but I want outside of Zach's answer, like out of his top tier.
I'd trade the 107 for him. I would. Yeah. And again, like people are going to be really excited about Quentin Johnston. Like I would trade Quentin Johnston to get Swift.
Yes,
I would.
Like that's, and you will hear me gush over X-type wide receivers, well, body-type wide receivers.
He didn't even go to Clemson, Russ.
Doesn't matter. He mossed the hell out of a bunch of people in the end zone, and that's just
he did. He's very tall.
That's part of my jam. Like, what's he like on the sidelines? That's what I need to know.
He doesn't.
Oh, then I don't like him.
Yeah.
Zach, what are you doing with George Pickens?
I think he's a sell now where people have come up really high on him. If I can get into the 105, 106 range, I'm absolutely selling. And some of the players that are around him, I will sell him for.
Wide receiver 20 in January ADP. That's too high. Like that's where you want Pickens to get to. That's not where he's supposed to be right now. Like he should be down in that Gabe Davis area of the wide receiver 30 something.
But again, that's the great thing about being in early on Pickens. So Zach, if you were listening to this show last year when we were talking prospects and you heard by both Peter and I kind of gush over Pickens and say that he had this great ceiling and most people were off him. I mean, he only had 30 targets in his last year in college. He had been injured, had struggled, getting on the field, had some on-field issues with, getting wrapped up in a corner and kind of doing a push shove. If you were in early, did you find your pen? You need one? I got one. No.
Do you need a scissor? I got a scissor for you.
But if you were in early, this is the payoff where yes, you could hang on to Pickens and maybe he becomes AJ Green, like good AJ Green, like not injured AJ Green. But there's also the risk of that floor. You've already made back what you invested in rookie picks for Pickens. So that's a win. And if I can get into a Jordan Addison or a Jackson Smith and Jigba, like I'm happy with that. And
yeah, not to be a shill or anything, but my last video, second last video, the does Christian Watson earn more targets, which I'm probably going to retitle because that's the sucky title. Like I talked about all of this in that one. Please check it out, please. Essentially, you've got 3 wide receivers well above the thresholds. They can still struggle or not be alphas, whatever you want to term it. And then you've got Pickens, Watson, Burks, and even Jahan Dotson in a tight tier of players who had maybe seasons. Plenty of good players do something like what they did and go on to be well. And my feeling on the 2022 class still continues to be I kind of want out. And so Pickens and Watson and if I can trade them into CeeDee Lamb or Amon-Ra St. Brown, or whoever you think the discount tier 1 wide receiver is, I want to do that. I'll also go across to the Marcus Brown and Ayuk tier and pick up draft capital in 23 or 24. And it's not because they're not good or all of them or many of them aren't going to do great. It's because we're peering at eggshells, I think, deciding which one will. Having said that, honestly, I just watch the tape answer. It's a pretty good answer here. Do you think Pickens can sustain what he was doing? Do you think Watson can sustain what he was doing? The thing that I like about Dotson, actually, and Pickens is both, I think it was Pickens as well, both were running over 30 reps a game, which means even though most year 2 wide receivers get that volume boost, you've already seen them on the team a lot. But I think Zach's point about Pickens is a great one, in that his situation isn't going to improve. They're not going to have a better quarterback. It kind of is what it is. And that's where pushes me in that tier, outside of Burks, because he's in that tier as well. Like, I kind of want to go out or I want to go up. I want to go get one of my tier 1s, or I want to move across to a vet I have less concerns on and some more draft capital. So yeah, that's where I'm at on Pickens. Jahan Dotson as well. Dotson's the interesting one because he's lower than all of them. But I do remember those 2 big games he had. Everyone, my Twitter timeline filled up with people who loved them. So I'm not sure what his value is, but if he's as low a value compared to Watson and Burks, then he's somewhat interesting. But still, I'd probably find something else to do. If I've got him on my team, I'm holding him. If I can't sell him for what we were just talking about.
I don't like Dotson.
I have no concluding thought. I have no good out. Yeah. That's it.
No,
I just kind of talked until I got too tired to continue. So there you go.
See, like, there's the problem with being on so many shows is I never remember what I say when, where, who, to what. If Dotson didn't, like, I like Penn State pass catchers, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, Gesicki. I liked Deshaun Hamilton, even though that didn't really work out. KJ Hamler. But, like, if Jahan Dotson didn't go to Penn State, I would have zero interest in him. And his value is just buoyed by the fact that he played in, like, 3 games. He just happened to catch touchdowns in those games. Yeah. I'm just not super a fan. So if you can get close to what you spent on him, especially in this draft class, I think I do that pretty easily.
Yeah,
I think you'd be sorry. It's fair to ask. Forget it. It doesn't matter that much.
Moving on. All right, Zach, list them quick.
I think we've done this, but order 66: Bijan Robinson, Young, Stroud, JSN, Addison, Gibbs, Quentin Johnston. That was very quick, huh?
Yeah, I liked it. Steve McGraw, 16-team non-superflex start 9, Marquise Brown or the 104.
That is not Marquise Brown.
That says Marquise Brown.
No, I know, but it is the 104.
Yeah, the answer is the 104.
Sorry,
Pete.
Pete.
104. No, that's fair. If everyone valued him like that, then
Justin Adams, I have someone close to accepting an offer for Jefferson, non-superflex. I offered Olave and the 102. I have 23 picks, 1, 2, 3. What are you people that you... Wait, 0.5, 24 firsts? You need RB... You don't need anything right now. Just putting it out there. It is January. You're not setting a lineup until 8 months from now.
No, he needs Justin Jefferson.
You need Justin Jefferson on your team. So you're trying to trade away Jefferson for Olave in the 102. I'm assuming to take Gibbs.
trying to get all no.
No, because he has someone close
I
to accepting
offered Olave and the 102.
Okay. Oh yeah, do that. Olave and the 102 for Jefferson. Easy. Jefferson.
And if if you have to put something else with it, I would not. I don't think another first is necessary.
That shouldn't, because I mean you're talking wide receiver. I think he's like 10 or 11 plus the 102.
But if I had to throw a 24 first on that, I would.
That I was about to say, don't make it one of these early picks if you can throw a 24 first, because man, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle, Drake London, Treylon Burks, and I'm assuming that's Mike Williams.
Plus, you're adding Addison and Jigba because you have the let's do it. And Bijan.
And pick one.
Yeah.
What else should you add? You don't need to add anything else. You're fine. You could add whatever the heck you want with all of that draft capital, by the way. The men, the myths, the proverbial legends. The offseason is where we make the moves to win the point scoring season. Keep up the great work. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you more than you appreciate us.
Absolutely.
Because it's a contest. I keep track.
I
Zach Harris, co-champ of the league with the 103, 109, 110, and 112. Again, like you guys do such a good job of listening to us that you win leagues and you still have all these picks. 12 teams start 10, half PPR. Really solid team other than one RB and one flex. Dotson and Pickens currently in flex. What are you doing with those picks? I'm a big fan. Well, first of all, besides the fact of what we have been saying this entire time, what Zach has been saying this entire time, like once you hit the 109, 10, and 12, it's pretty especially when I have that many picks in one draft. My usual mantra is trade half, draft half. You're going to take the 103, you're going to draft the 103, 12 team. So this is not super flex. I would package the 9, 10, and 12 and go get two very solid players. Like I don't even think I would bother waiting a minute. Like I would be willing to do that right now. Like if you could walk away with the 9, 10, and 12 with solid wide receiver and like J.K. Dobbins, like your team is great.
I would even be willing to pair the 109 with Dotson and the 110 with Pickens or what to
beautiful. Yeah.
Cheer up and really make some hay.
Yeah, I love that too. Nathan, how would you recommend trading up for a higher first round pick? I have the 111 and I'm interested in the 103. What would I have to add to the 111 to get this trade accepted? Is it worth it? Well, we need, like, are we talking Superflex 103? In which case it will probably be worth it. You'll have to add a lot because 111 is outside of a lot of people's top tier. Well,
right. Yeah, everyone's top tier.
Because Bijan is a tier by himself. You are going to have to add metaphorically very strong first. Like you're going to have like 111 and Drake London. Is that too much? But that feels right. I offered something along the lines of this deal trading back from the 103. I think it was to like the 110. I asked for like the 110 and Devonta Smith for the 103, and it got rejected pretty fast. But like I felt that was a very good, or no, Garrett Wilson. It was Garrett Wilson, and that got rejected very fast. And I thought it was a very good trade, valuing Garrett Wilson in a super flex league at around like the 105, 104, 105. So the 104, 105, and the 111 to me felt like a strong offer to the 103, which is technically using the 111 to move up a pick or two. That's kind of how you have to think about it. So I think I think it's worth it if you want that quarterback.
And the thing I will say is if it's not about going up and getting a quarterback, because I don't see where Nathan necessarily said like what he's chasing. He just said move up to the 103, right? So
I'm scrolling around. I don't see anything else.
Like if you're not Nathan, if you're not looking necessarily to move up and land either Young or Stroud, then I would maybe aim a little lower and say, okay, I'm going to trade for the 106 and see what I can get.
You can walk away with wide receiver 2.
Yeah, and I think you could put something like quite a bit less with the 111 to get to the 106, because that doesn't feel like a top end pick. It's the middle of the first round. We're not really that, and so it doesn't have quite the cachet of the 103.
Yeah.
So that might be the way I would play that. Is I think I can get a really good player without having to give up quite as much, as long as you're not looking to try to trade up and get one of those quarterbacks. And if you are, everything Russ said, yeah,
because they never said super flex in general. I just sort of assumed it was. If you're looking to do this to go get Addison or JSN, it probably won't be worth it unless you can get a very, very reasonable price, which depends on the person. Maybe you will be able to, but it's worth it for one of those quarterbacks. James Williams, I have a guy offering me JJ for DK, Dalvin Cook, and the 104. Do I take it? All right, people, you need to tell us league details. I know you're trying to keep it short and sweet, because I don't know why. Because, when I'm in the lead, you see we fall even further behind than when Peter's in the lead because I talk too much. I love DK Metcalf. I really, really do. He is wide receiver 12, and that is too low for me. Yeah, honestly, Dalvin Cook isn't worth a first anymore. So if we're saying DK, the 104, and like the 204, 104, 204 for JJ, yeah, I would send that for Jefferson. And if we're talking 1 QB, heck yeah.
Yeah, and James, I know you're asking because it hurts a little bit. You're giving up DK, you're giving up that next big thing with that rookie pick, but getting Justin Jefferson is going to hurt a little bit. But
it should.
But as soon as the season starts next year, it's not going to hurt so much.
Hurts so good. Come on, babe. Benjamin, 12-team Superflex, PPR, no TE premium. Give Pitts, get Goddard, and the 103. Yes. Jason Hammond, hear me now, believe me later. Jacobs to Vikings. Vikes use opt-out option on Dalvin, contract. Boom. I would love that. I would love that for Jacobs. I have no idea what Dalvin's contract is like, but he's lost a step. He absolutely has. Jacobs would slide in there and do very, very well. I think that would be great for Jacobs and probably great for the Vikings. I have no idea what their money looks like if they can afford it, though. So it'd be great. I love it. Trip Crown inquired about T-Law and got this offer. Lamar, the 103 and 105 for T-Law and the 106. Actually infuriating when I get things like this. I am so mad. So mad the Jaguars won that game. I wanted more time to get Trevor Lawrence shares. It's gone now. And I collect football cards. Like, I thought I had more time to grab a couple more autos. Nope. Gone. Yeah, you need to cross your fingers they lose this week and then wait 3 months. And then maybe you'll get back to normal T-Law pricing, because he's like QB6 right now in ADP.
Well, but he was also one of the best quarterbacks to evaluating to come out. Like, he's good.
The problem with what he's doing now is he's reminding people that we're stuck on how bad he was last year.
Yeah.
That's really what's killing. I say killing his value, but doing what his value should be and going up. Lamar and Trevor Lawrence are probably pretty equal right now. If you really want T-Law, just get rid of the 105 and be willing to take a step back and one pick back in the draft. Go and let someone else choose who you get between Addison and JSN and get the quarterback you want better.
Yeah, but you're also losing the 103 in that.
No, I said take that out. And be like, look, I get it, Trevor Lawrence, but let's be honest now and try and send a real offer. Like,
I like that,
because technically they're equal in value right now. Whether you feel they should or they shouldn't be, it's just the way it is. So I would go from the 105 to the 106 to get the player I like better. Assuming you do, because you never said you offered Lamar. That's what they offered. But Super Cooper, I just like saying that. Just won the championship, but wanting to still get younger and better. Always go get better. Your team can always be better. Who or what picks should I target to move Hill? That's a tough one. Also have Evans, another tough one. And everyone is acting like he's worthless. Yes, Evans is unfortunately physically impossible to move, even in the point scoring season when he's scoring points.
Yeah.
You are going to need to use Evans as part of a trade. You are not going to be able to move Evans by himself. Tyreek. Honestly, it's really, really tough because he is wide receiver 7 right now, falling behind Amon-Ra, Jalen Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, and AJ Brown. Like those, and then you get to Jamar and Justin Jefferson. You can slide Tyreek Hill into any of those spots, and I would be like, I get it. Okay. But he's 29. I don't think it matters for him. He's an outlier. He's proved that years ago, but it doesn't matter. He's old, and we're dynasty managers. His price is going to go down every second he's still alive. So, oh my God, Tyreek Hill, don't die anytime soon. That came out of my mouth terribly wrong, and I apologize for that. I don't think we're at the point where you're not going to get, if you want to trade for a single 2023 pick, you should be getting the 102 or 103. You won't because it's QB for non-QB, but I think that's the area you need to be. And if you're getting into the 104, I need something very good on top of the 104 to be able to feel good about moving Tyreek for that. Otherwise, you let Tyreek quasi-retire on your roster because it's going to be time until he gets his value again, until point season starts again.
Is it worth? And I think it is. It's a quasi question. Is it worth inquiring about that tier of Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown, T. Higgins, that group of guys with Hill, where he's out producing them? Waddle may be the most interesting one because Hill is the wide receiver 1 on Waddle's team.
Yeah.
And so that may be where I start. And look, honestly, if I have to add to Hill, you don't love that as a scoring team, but you're buying back years. And normally, Cooper, we don't advocate like the 1-for-1 positional trades. But in this case, where you're trading a tier 1 wide receiver to get a tier 1 wide receiver, they're both proven, but you're gaining back 4 or 5 years. That is like the one time where I'm considering making a move like that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd be looking to do right now. And if I have to add a second to Hill, or if I have to add I'm going to do that.
Yeah. But I think if you sent out Hill for Higgins in a second, there's a chance that just gets taken. For a competing team, absolutely. And if you want to go down a little bit more, if you can find the right people who have Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave on their teams, Devonta Smith, you might be able to get a very strong second, late first added to those.
Yeah. And I think you should, because they're a little bit less proven than the other guys that I mentioned up in that top tier.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to do, but I also just don't think you need to move him because there's no reason for him to not keep scoring these points.
Points are fun.
As long as Tua comes back, that will be my caveat, because who knows right now with head injuries and such.
You weren't digging on Skyler, huh?
Teddy Two Gloves got to get healthy. Baker Kid 2. Should the top QBs in this year's draft be considered for taking with a 102 in a 10-team 1 QB start 10 league? No.
Not in 1 QB.
Justin Adams. Oh, hey, thanks, man. I have someone close to taking Olave. Oh, we answered this already, though. Oh, he probably was hoping money would get us faster to it.
Justin,
sorry.
We're slow, man. But
especially
we
today.
got there.
Here you go. This is for you.
Yeah,
remembers
Andrew knows.
Ryan, I just traded the 104 for Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell in half PPR. I feel like I smashed it, but wanted to ask your opinions. Again, come on, people, details. But honestly, yes, I do that. CMC is not going to get bad next season.
Yeah. And it's, again, if you're a strong contender, you just made yourself a stronger contender.
Yep. Sorry. Carl's 10-team Superflex is getting 204 enough to drop from the 104 to 106. No? Like, because you're going from choosing between Gibbs and your wide receiver 1 to getting the wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
And like, you're going from the top of that tier to the bottom of that tier, at least in my mind. So I need something palpable for that. Like, I need something more than that.
Yep.
Scapegoat, Hall, ETN, Jacobs, Gibson, Dobbins. Who would you try to move? I am needy at QB and wide receiver. You're not needy at anything. You have so long before you have to worry about setting a line. You're not needy for anything. That being said, do not move Breece Hall. He is
undervalued and will outproduce.
He's running back 3 right now. He will go up in value.
No.
Like, just don't do that. If you wanted to move someone for the heck of it, no. Actually, all of like ETN is the only one you probably can get away with. All of these players are either you won't get what they're worth from their points, or they will gain value as time goes on. ETN would be the only one I would be okay moving right now, but don't feel like you have a need. You have zero need. Every trade you make right now should be for value's sake. And that is assuming you have an active league. If you think you're going to make one trade between now and the start of the season, worry about it. But if you have a semi-active league, I don't worry about your lineup whatsoever for another 8 months, 7.5 months. Like, you have so much time. Hey, Puff Pass Cake, we were talking about you before. 10-team Superflex. Have Tua and Stafford came in 3rd place. What QBs should I target? Lawrence and Hurts are a no-go. Have the 107. People hoard QBs despite it being a 10-team. Thinking of Gallup for Jimmy G, for example. That's rough.
I mean, I'd do that if I could get Garoppolo for Gallup.
Yeah, because he'll probably start somewhere. But I'm like saying, like, going from like, I can't get Tila or Hurts, so I'm going to try for Garoppolo.
So I get Garoppolo, yeah.
Like, my hands can't be on screen with the difference in those scales.
So the answer to this one is the draft. Like, his rookie drafts. Like, that's it.
Okay, well, first of all, I would say try and trade up for the 2 or 3, see if you can get there decently, but you can get a quarterback at 7. Like, like I said at one point before that I was told that the Colts are enamored with Will Levis, and you know, Richardson. Like,
Anthony Richardson is the like.
It's funny because I keep going to say Anderson because his first name starts with an A.
Not as polished, not as good a passer, but very mobile and potential for growth.
Yeah. So like there's a lot out there that especially you don't need to do anything now. But with that 107, I don't hate seeing what it would take to get up to the 2 or 3 and be happy with Young or Stroud and whoever you got. Good frozen Peter face. You were frozen for a little while in a very good like.
Oh really?
Yeah. Stickman, 10-team Superflex start 9. Just traded the 106 Debo and Jacobs for Lamar and Swift. Wow. I like that. That's Lamar owner was super down on him, thinking I came out on top, but trying to figure out what to do with Swift now. If you can get top 5 running back value for Swift, yeah, you send him away. If not, like I said, like holding him right now is not the worst thing in the world on your team, especially if he's your running back 2. Like, he has the upside of the running back 1 on any given week. Like, that's the talent he has. And the offense is getting better. But his consistency and staying on the field seems to absolutely be a problem. But I love the 106 Debo and Jacobs for Lamar and Swift. I think that was a very good trade for you. Zach?
He is my wide receiver 4. So he's my next guy after Quentin Johnston.
So like 108-ish.
8, yeah.
Yep. Trip Crown, Gibbs at 106. Wow, that's surprising. Would consider him at the 103, but don't want to chase the position I need. Gibbs will most likely at 103. I'm guessing we're talking 1 QB. No, yeah, like Gibbs anywhere after Bijan is fine.
Yeah, and again, like this is just my evaluation. It doesn't mean that I'm right, and it probably won't be consensus. But that's like I said, I've been okay. I've done all right.
Okay. Gavin, Rankum, Pittman, Olave, Godwin, Hollywood, Ayuk. Olave, Godwin, Pittman. No, Olave, Godwin,
Ayuk.
Hollywood, Pittman, Ayuk.
Oh, see, I would go Olave, Godwin, Ayuk, Pittman, Hollywood, but
it's in my head. It's in my head that I don't like Ayuk, even though he does well.
I just like to tweak Peter, put Hollywood last, but especially behind Pittman.
Quentin Thingamajig.
That was my favorite the other day was the DM. I think it was a DM where no, it wasn't. It was you Booty, but you spelled it BJIIPE. And I was like, and so I just typed that 3 times, and I said "rocking everywhere."
I love it. Gavin, 23 seconds are crazy value. I just saw a mock where Butte went 301,
which is wild.
That is wild.
Well, and that's the other thing about this and about. So when I do my film evaluation, that's not necessarily a ranking. That's not where you have to draft these players. And so that's something to keep in mind, because every league is its own environment, its own unique value of players. And also, you're going to see consensus in this class, and it may not jive with whoever your favorite analyst is, whether it's Peter's rookie rankings, or if it's mine, or if it's Ray Garvin, or whoever it is that you go to do your rookie evaluations. So when I give you an order, that doesn't mean you have to draft them in that order. And a prime example was a couple of years ago where Justin Jefferson, like I had Justin Jefferson as the top of that class. It was CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, period, full stop.
Yes.
Like, and the consensus was Justin Jefferson was 109, 110. And so I'm telling people, I love Justin Jefferson. I think he's great. I think he's the top of this class. You don't have to draft him at 102. You can trade back to 106, gain an extra pick in the draft, and still get Justin Jefferson before anybody is even thinking about him. And so that's what you have to understand, Gavin, is maybe the seconds are crazy value. Like people are saying the seconds are firsts in this class. They're not. They're seconds. But it's a good second round. Like there are some good running backs, and that's what I'm looking for, especially in second, third, fourth rounds. I'm looking for running backs who can come in, who can catch passes, who can carry a workload, who can give you, a couple of weeks, and then maybe you run into a Tyler Algier or you run into a Dameon Pierce who give you extra, and you're real happy about it. But so that's you have to understand that's where the value is. It's not that these seconds are valuable because the players are great. The seconds are valuable because the class is pretty good, and there are going to be some players that are successful.
So this, by the way, is a 1 QB league. So this is not even a quarterback. This is Olave and Gibbs / wide receiver 1.
No.
Yeah. For Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
How do you guys balance diversifying shares of different players on your different teams versus getting your guys?
By only having 5 leagues, I get my guys.
I'm bad at this. If I have a chance to get T. Higgins and Calvin Ridley on every single team, I'm going to do it. I take this from the other side. I don't care about having too much of a specific player. That does not bother me whatsoever. I try and make sure I have at least one of a lot of people. Like I call them just in case shares. Like of course, the one I miss out on, I had 0 Christian Watson. It would have been nice to have one of them just in case he exploded like he did. I had one Jahan Dotson. I was able to move him after he caught 2 touchdowns in that first game. I have 20 plus leagues at this point. I don't care if I have one player on 18 of them. It's that doesn't matter to me.
And most of the analysts who talk about diversifying are what I call portfolio players. And
Yes,
so
they are.
Russ, if you had that mentality, could be because you have a bunch of leagues, but what they're talking about when you diversify, it's like diversifying a stock portfolio.
That's literally how they play it. Like,
Yeah.
I know Scott Connor calls it
Yeah.
that. Scott Sidlow, who's on the Dab Network with me, like,
Yep.
he also like refers to it as portfolios, like that's where diversifying comes from. But they're also in 50-60 leagues. So in that case, yeah, I get that a little bit because they are, they're playing for money. They're that's why they do this. It's, of course, at least Sidlow has like the Trade Addicts League where he just does silly things because that's what these leagues are for, because it's a cheap league. But like on the large scale, that's how you have to play because that's how you play the stock market. Like you can't be too heavy in one stock because bad things. But I don't think this is something you have to do unless that's the style you play. If you play in 6 leagues and you really freaking like a player, go get him on all 6 teams.
But I also think thinking of players in like groups, like tiers of players and similar play, like that helps too. Because I didn't get Justin Jefferson, but I got Jamar Chase, or I got Waddle, or I got like there are similar players, and so that kind of helps. But I'm not actively seeking to diversify.
Yeah, I wouldn't move someone off my team because all of a sudden I feel like I have too much of them. Like
Good players are good to have.
Yeah. Leonard Carter, this is a super flex league. Have Russ, Kyler, and Ritter give up 24 first for Watson. I don't even like Watson, and I'd give him 24 first. Like that's a very cheap price. Andrew, the problem with Devonta Smith is not him; it's his backup QB likes him more than the starter. Will he get the targets from the QB1 to break through? He got them from Hurts.
Yeah, he's good.
Like he is doing very, very well with Gardner Minshew, but like that is just to overshadow that he did really well this season. I don't think you need to worry about that. Chris, 12-team Superflex start 11. Have Fields, Kyler, Mike White, and Carr at QB. At the 104, I am estimating that we'll have to decide between Stroud. And if Stroud is at the 104, you take him.
Yeah.
I think it's weird to think he will be there. I'm curious who the 3 will be.
It might be Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you should take him at the 4 if he's there. Would you do Lamar for 105 and 106 in a super flex league? No, I'm not that big into Lamar, and I need.
Yeah, you got to have a quarterback back.
Yeah, if you're not getting a quarterback back from trading away someone like Lamar, it needs to be an overpay. If you're giving away a top 10 quarterback and not getting one back, it needs to be a haul, and the 105, 106 is not a haul. You will get 2 players I probably will like a lot because it'll be those top 2 wide receivers, but no. Ryan, I did a startup in week 12. I love it, and got Devonta Smith at the 502. Not sure that'll be the case this offseason, but it was my experience. It will not. Like he's already gone up. Like we already said, his ADP is the 25th pick. So yeah, like good for you then, man. Like that's freaking awesome. Evening, gents. Above grief, would you send Cousins in the 110 for Daniel Jones and a late 24 first? Also, Russ just followed me back on Twitter. I'm super hyped. I'm good like that. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know who that is. Cousins in the 110 for Daniel Jones and a late. No, because Cousins is still a little bit over Daniel Jones, and the 10, while if you're on the clock at the 10 and there's 0 there that you want, I don't hate the idea of moving to 24, but I need more than it already looks like a late 24 first for the 110.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Yeah. Sorry. No. If it was a different quarterback that was better or at least ranked higher than Cousins, But I've been saying the whole time, I like Daniel Jones. I don't think that's it. Chip Crown, I think to be fair, if Gibbs goes to the combine, tests at 4.35 and is 210, you got to put him at the 102 in a 1 QB and like 104 in 2 QB. What Zach was saying before, it doesn't matter what happens at the combine, it just matters what it turns into his draft capital and where he goes. Gibbs is very, very good. He's a very good pass catcher. If he goes to a team that's going to treat him like the Raiders did Jacobs or the Patriots did Sony Michel, it's going to hurt his value. So, but going in, yes, you're absolutely right.
I like Gibbs. I think he's a little bit finer version of Swift. So take a little BMI off of Swift and that, like, that's a similar. I hate comps, but like people think that way, so that you have to kind of.
It makes your life easier to use them, even though.
Yeah, but like that's what I'm a little bit worried about with Gibbs. I'm not worried about his talent. I think he's a great talent. I think he's a great pass catcher. I'm worried about him getting kind of pigeonholed into a role in the NFL where he's not getting enough carries to really be that uber back. And so I don't want to spend the highest of picks to go get a back that I think is probably a receiving back with 3 down upside in a pinch. But
yeah, fantasy community's high on Gibbs. In draft community, he's falling. I honestly haven't even heard that he's falling in the draft community, though I'm not really.
I don't pay attention to anybody yet. I'm still doing evaluation, so I'll get there, Andrew. But I'm not listening to other people yet.
Don't be surprised come draft. Flowers from BC and Hyatt from Tennessee end up being the second and third wide receiver off the board after Quentin Johnson. See
but that's NFL, Andrew. That's NFL.
That's Henry Ruggs getting drafted early. That's John Ross getting drafted early. The fast guys will get drafted early, but that doesn't help fantasy.
Flowers is interesting.
I don't know who that is.
So he's Jamison Crowder for BC.
Cool.
Like that's basically what he is. But like I've got him at like wide receiver 7 or 8. Like he's good. He's a very good slot receiver. He's got a little bit of juice after the catch, that sort of thing. But PFF has him as their number 2 wide receiver, which immediately makes me question all life.
There's
but and
Andrew do this every once in a while just to mess with us, just to be like, oh, you guys are thinking we're a little too good. This guy at number 2.
And Andrew, like I watched Jalen Hyatt specifically because you'd asked me about him a couple weeks ago because you said that he was your guy.
I think a week does not go by where Andrew brings up Hyatt.
Well, and like I watched him. He's incredibly fast in the open field. He's good post catch. His moves within the routes are really subtle, but they give him enough leverage combined with his speed that he can get open, separates well versus man, end zone with speed over the top, but he does not work the boundaries or sideline at all. Like he's a middle of the field guy. When catching the ball on the screen, which is really interesting with a guy that is that fast that they want to get in space, his first step, and go watch this, Andrew, his first step is invariably backwards when he catches a ball on a screen, which is terrible because he's giving up ground. He's letting a defender get in on him and make a play. And Russ, I know you like this line. This line is going to stay in my write-up. He carries around an EpiPen just in case he happens to block because he is deathly allergic to that. Like he will not block at all. So that's it. And right now he's 12 out of the 12 wide receivers that I've watched. And that doesn't mean that he won't go highly in the NFL draft because he will. He's going to be a 4.3 guy. He's super fast. But he's not going to be a fantasy guy, at least from what I've seen.
Gavin, I feel people are stuck on Trey Lance and what San Fran gave up for him. This draft will be 3 years since they made. Draft capital is absolutely in there. Fantasy players, it's the ceiling we wanted to be there. Yeah. I don't know if any of it actually bounces around in the minds of NFL people. And at this point, it shouldn't.
Yeah.
David, 12-team Superflex, traded CMC and Cup, for Garrett Wilson, Ken Walker, Hey, Alec Pierce. And the 109 have Danny Dimes, Javante, lots of other stuff. Rebuild, thoughts, target advice. So you traded. So you wanted to get younger. So you traded CMC and Cooper Kupp for Garrett Wilson, Ken Walker, and the 109 and Alec Pierce. Move Kenneth Walker right away. He is the RB like 2 right now, and that's ridiculous. That would be the first thing I would do. You have and Damian Pierce and Javante. Hold Pacheco, because if they don't draft a running back, I think his value will spike. I'd move all of if you're actually rebuilding with what it seems like you have to, since you only listed Danny Dimes and it's a super flex league. Yeah, move every running back. I'd hold Pacheco because you won't get anything good for him, especially if your league has return yardage where I actually mapped out what the point difference was with the 0.05 point return yardage, what we do for all of the leagues except for frickin' TA1, which I've decided I'm probably just going to institute and not tell anyone and see if they notice, because Pacheco was the most affected by it, and he had an extra 30 points on the season.
Yeah.
Usually the points that will come from that night would just be if they scored a touchdown, and you get those points usually anyway, even if you don't get points for yardage. The answers are always usually pretty similar when it comes to targets to trade for. Any young wide receiver is going to be great. Any pick earlier than the 109 in this draft is going to be great. 24 picks if you want to go on an actual rebuild, get some very good players for these running backs, and then get some 24 picks. So after that draft, you're set and you're ready to compete, most likely. But yeah, I would move on from every running back, including the one you just got. But you did make a good trade. I love the value you actually got for CMC and Kupp. It wasn't what I was expecting to see.
Yeah.
Grimley, 12 team, super flex, Burks or the 108?
Burks.
Yeah, I had to stop and think about it. But we're talking at that point, the Butte level.
Yeah.
Maybe a little later. I'll take the guy that we've seen do pretty well when he was on the field already. Posted twice to fix text. I mean, nope. Whatever. We like seeing you on here, so don't worry about it. I'm trying to trade T-Law. Why would you trade T-Law? That was the Lamar one, right?
There's only 5 quarterbacks it's worth trading him for, so I don't know why. If you can get Josh Allen, get Josh Allen. But
yeah, if you're trading away Trevor Lawrence right now, you need to go up there. Yeah, I've scrolled back far enough and I couldn't find it, so I kind of lost interest in scrolling back even more. But I think this was a Lamar trade where it was Lamar 103, 105 for Lawrence in the 106.
Yeah.
If you're trying to trade away T-Law to get Lamar, you should do that. That's good. Because I was saying Lamar in the 106 for Lawrence in the 105, I would do. So you're getting the 103 on top of that. I would do that. Assuming you wanted to move from T-Law to Lamar. Ratfoot, 12 team, Superflex, PPR, Debo, or the 108 and 203. I would take the picks. It's probably the wrong answer. Debo was the wide receiver 24 in points per game, even though it felt like he was garbage.
I want Debo.
But I think if your plan is to trade away Debo, you can get a better trade trading away the 108 and the 203 than Debo. So I would rather have the picks and figure out what to do after that.
I want Debo.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think what I'm saying is the right answer, but I think that's what I do.
I'm going to draft the all anti-Russ team in
TA11. Please.
Yeah, I'm going to go Debo. I'm going to go Mark Andrews. I can't do Watson. I can't. But I'll just do.
Please. 101 is on the block in 3 out of the 4 leagues I'm in. It's going to be on the block in every single league because people want to see if they'll get that Twitter deal. Those ones you see where that doesn't happen in real leagues, but it actually does. And I hold it in the 4th. Should I be jumping on board, putting Bijan up, or is it assigned to pursue in other leagues? Most are asking for young stugs and picks. Bijan Robinson is going to be drafted in the first rounds of even startups, of even Superflex startups.
Yeah.
People should put Bijan on the trading block because if someone is willing to pay that ridiculous price, yeah, cool, awesome. But usually that's not going to happen. you throw him on the block to see what's going to happen. Like that's all that is. That's all any of this is. Or see if we can get away with. Throw them a somewhat shitty offer. See if like what they counter with. See if they take it. See if they counter with something that you think is insanely reasonable. You should not get the 101 for a reasonable price.
No.
So if you can, go do it. But I think it's really just for show to see that, let people know that they're willing to accept offers, because a lot of people will sit there and be like, they don't want to trade the 101, so I'm not going to send anything. Yeah. Like that's what I think the trade block is for in general.
It's the old show because everything is for sale.
Yeah, well, that's
for a price.
Everything should be for sale for a price. Madden's passed. I'm trying to trade Lamar in my Superflex league. Really need wide receiver and draft capital. What do you think I can get for him? First of all, you don't need anything because it's January. You're not setting a lineup. And I think we've talked about this a little bit. Like
I get Lamar that comment so often. I need. Sorry,
yeah,
there's a few DMs this week.
Tap the sign.
What? Oh yeah, we'll add that to the bottom.
Yeah.
Draft for value, trade for need. You don't need anything right now, though. You should still get something very, very good for Lamar. You should be getting a quarterback back along, with whatever you trade away. And if you don't, it needs to be a haul. It needs to be the equivalent of what you would probably be trading Hurts or not necessarily Allen for, but like it needs to be a lot. You still should be getting a lot back for Lamar. Baseball's great, Cecil Fielder. How good is the 110 to 112 this year? Also have the 202, one last year. Burrow and Mahomes in Superflex. You are not just great at baseball; you are great at fantasy football. But have aging other guys. Should I trade those picks? The Peter answer depends on the deal. But yeah, I think we've said it enough this time that that's past the stud tier. So see what you can get for them, and I think you can make your team better with less risk, because there's nothing without risk in fantasy football. Like you can make your team better with much less risk by trading those picks for players.
Yeah, and if you have, again, the aging players that you have, you can pair them with those picks, tier up and get younger, depending on who you've got and what what your league will allow you to do. But that's what I would be trying to do with those picks and the older players.
You know what I just realized? Like I missed 2 weeks and all of the Joes disappeared. Did you do something to piss them off?
That was Peter. I was just here.
We do something against the Joes? I don't know.
Like we had 3 of them at one point, and now they're all gone.
Joe Herbert. Well, Joe proper J-O usually doesn't get here until late, so we're right on the cusp of when she might.
Oh man, we're an hour and 20 behind. That's bad. Jordan Love looked like a star in the short sample size against maybe the best defense in the league. I'm not ready to give up on him. And Matt Flynn threw 4 touchdowns. The last.
You're just mad because you're a Seattle fan.
Got a huge contract from Seattle and then never started a game because they drafted Russell Wilson in the 3rd. People. And
small sample size.
Yeah. Like quarterbacks that come in where other teams have 0 tape and maybe probably don't even care about the game. It doesn't matter. Cool. If you want to believe he's good, I would absolutely be using that if I was a Jordan Love fan. Like I say all the time, I will grasp at whatever straw I see in front of me to defend players that I like. And if you're a Jordan Love person, then yes, cool. Confirmation bias is wonderful. But I think in the long run, week 16, 17, 18, whatever it turns into with the extended season, it's not as indicative as you want it to be.
And Shadrach, we're not cheering against
Never.
Jordan Love. Don't mistake that. If I would love to see Jordan Love succeed, because the more good players there are, the better off our game is. And we're never cheering against players just on a human level.
Yes.
So, but what we're trying to do is evaluate what we think is going to be valuable for fantasy football, and it's hard to see a world where Jordan Love is going to be that guy. But I hope he does.
I'm sorry, this probably hurts your feelings a little bit. Pats could have gotten Chubb over Sony.
Yeah, they could have, but I would have rather had Lamar.
No, fair enough. Also, where do you guys personally have Dak ranked among QBs?
What, like 9, 10, something like
Yeah.
that?
I mean, that's the very easy answer. He's not the top tier. He's not honestly. He's either in the bottom of that second tier for me or the top of the third, which
Yeah.
honestly is sort of the same thing. He's at the point where I would, in a startup, I would absolutely be taking Jefferson, Chase, and I want to say Bijan, but I don't know if I would have the wherewithal to do it
Stones.
like in reality. I don't know if I'd be able to, but like that's where I have him, which puts him still in the first round of a Superflex startup. He's good. David Chapman, 12 team. We read this. Okay. What kind of wide receiver should I target if I move Bateman, the 203 and 206 in a 10-team, 1-quarterback league? Unfortunately, piling those seconds isn't going to move you too much. Like talking.
Sorry, I know I keep jumping in randomly, but
no, please.
Like a lot of these trades rolling past me while I stare out the window. Ask yourself, are you sending them anything they want? If you want to trade, you have to send them things. We like Bateman because his value's low, but the reverse of that is his value's low. You're like, here, take this player you probably think less of. Here, take this second that no one wants. They want first. I mean, actually, I kind of like your third and second, your 2 second-round picks. But you know what I mean? Like a lot of these trades, I'm like, how do I get gold bars for my copper? I don't.
Alchemy.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't think you're trading anything away anyone's excited about. So it's going to be really difficult to get anything good. There are some things that are fair value, but I can't tell you they're going to be accepted 9 out of 10 times. You know, like maybe 5 out of 5.
Like Bateman and the 203, like Jameson Williams. That seems somewhat realistic, and I would be good with that. There
are trades. Like I said, we've listed a lot of those wide receivers in that range. I'd be interested in, but like again, I don't think the problem is what you're trading for. I think most people getting that offer are like,
And you have to find someone who is. You have to find someone who likes Bateman and who believes they'll get something at the 203. You'll get a better player in return. Andrew, JSN missed an entire year with a soft tissue injury. Will test poorly. Had 2 wide receivers drafted on the outside taking coverage. Dude is overrated.
Super cool thing. I tweeted it or sent you guys a DM in the DFPN chat because I'd just been reading up on soft tissue, specifically hamstring injuries, because I'd seen this argument against JSN a couple times. Statistically, it's the perception of hamstring injuries is really skewed. Only between 14 and 20% of players with a hamstring injury re-injure that hamstring, and 80% of those players re-injure it within 2 weeks of coming back. So it's more an injury or a re-injury of, it wasn't rehabbed and wasn't rested properly in the first place. Like, I'm not worried about that. And I just watched JSN outproduce again Olave and Wilson on Ohio State, like as a sophomore. Like he's really good, Andrew. I know that you're sitting there looking at combine and thinking those numbers matter. I think they're going to matter a lot less to me than they are to some people. And if you really want to look at combine numbers with JSN, maybe check out his 3 cone. But other than that, I don't care.
But DK's 3 cone.
I got a question. If you have a Olave or Wilson or whatever, that wide receivers were struggling to trade away. Well, I was. Are you interested in specifically targeting JSN plus? Because his pick is going to be 5, 6, 7 if people don't realize it. And I think he's a better prospect.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more we talk all the time about, this value in the certainty that Olave and Wilson is good, but that just seems like the kind of move people, if you're really looking to get risk for upside with these young rookies,
But I don't think you have to trade away those specific players to get into that range. That's the thing to me, Peter, is I think there's also
target JSN and targeting JSN in general is probably a good idea. But I was just like, I mean, if you're really looking for upside, you could get the JSN pick plus another first, or
Yeah.
like a lot for a Olave and a Wilson, or you could get quite a lot on top of it for Pickens, probably.
I mean, I would 100% trade Pickens for that.
Yeah. Which I think you said earlier. Again, I'm not doing very well.
You look good, though. You look
Thank
good.
you. Appreciate it. At least I got that going for me.
Hello, guys. 10-team Superflex going into the second year of a rebuild, which you just seem to have done a very good job. 101, 103, 105, 106, 107, 110, 201, 205, 301. Should I use all these picks or try to move some? For the 101, like we were saying before, see if you can get that deal, especially because if you are not ready to compete, having Bijan on your team isn't helpful. But with the 103, 101, 103, 105, 106,
hello, you're ready to compete.
You have a core of a team,
yeah.
Despite whatever you have on your team already. And then honestly, starting at the 107 and down, trade them for players you've seen produce already. And then you're competing, like you have so many picks in a draft that a lot of people want to be in.
Yeah.
So when you're on put the 101 on the block now, the rest of them wait. I feel like such a jerk telling people to have patience because I have none of it, but absolutely the more that happens, these picks will go up in value. Everyone we wanted to declared. It's hard for this to go wrong at this point because the players are there. Now it's what order are they going to go in? So you can finish this rebuild very quickly, especially if you clearly did very well with the picks. If you have a couple of young players on your team also, you can finish this very quickly.
Yeah, and Chase is exactly how I do a rebuild. Like I will target a class that I think is very good. I will try to get as many picks in it as possible, and then just hammer picks.
Go nuts. Yeah. And then again, it's infuriating when that happens because Zach does draft all the right people.
Not all. Let's not get crazy, but I do okay.
I love that the three of us. If anyone says anything nice about us, we all just go straight red, and we all do it on purpose.
I don't. Yeah. I'm not. Look, I'm really bad at that.
People
I'm good at self-deprecation. I'm good at.
We're the kings of it. That's what this show should be called. John, Gabe Davis is the best ball. He really is. I remember being at the Jets game versus the Dolphins, and then all of a sudden I look up and I'm like, oh. Gabe Davis is 1 for 94 and a touchdown. Cool. Achoo. Wait, Gabe Davis is 2 for 160 something and 2 touchdowns? What just happened? I sneezed and I missed it. Yes. Gabe Davis absolutely should be on every one of your best ball rosters. Christopher McMichael, Jamar Chase or Trevor Lawrence? Jamar Chase. I love Trevor Lawrence. I've always been a fan. I've been a fan of buying him on my teams when he wasn't doing well. I'm not ready to call him one of those difference makers yet, like the Allen, Mahomes, or even I hope Herbert actually gets some nice young healthy wide receivers to stay healthy on his team, or just Keenan can stop getting hurt. But Jamar Chase is that dude. He's that difference maker. He is that. So I would still draft or trade value might be different, but both values Chase over Lawrence, I think.
Yep,
because he's the 1 or 2, and Lawrence
not by a lot, but yeah.
Super Cooper, which side? 103 early 24 second, 24 whatever, or 106 and a mid 24 first. So you're the 103 and a bunch of blah to move back 3 spots and gain a 24 first. I like the thought of my choices between the best wide receiver in the class or Gibbs at 3. Oh, so this is 1 QB. I'm guessing by that statement, because we're not talking about a QB at 3.
Right.
I think I just hold on to the 103 and figure a way to move up to the 24 first a different way.
Yeah, I don't want to move back to the 106 if it's not super flex.
And especially for what the rest of that is. I know you're compiling a lot of bluff to get it seconds and thirds to move up to a first, and that's cool and all, but I don't do it at the cost of those 3 picks.
Yeah.
Oh, it is super flex, but he has Mahomes and Watson. Okay. Yeah. That makes it a lot better. So you're moving. Well, I mean, now it's actually a little different because
you're moving a quarterback.
You're moving from a quarterback to like the wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
I want more.
I would want more. I would want more to move.
Now I definitely want more to move. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, hey all, Peter, this one's for you. Have you done any research on wide receiver EPA? Didn't know the stat existed, but saw Fusu mention its stickiness.
EPA, expected points added. EPA, you can get it from NFL Faststyle, what I call NFL Faststyle, which is what Evertan does in the GitHub stuff. That's what I download for our weekly and seasonal stats during the season. He's gone. It's a pretty good stat. It's NFL rated, so it's how much expected value from the NFL team the player is adding on a per play basis, and it's really good. As far as I know, there's probably a rookie, a college version of it, but I don't know where anyone's getting that from. If they are, it's in there for college, and it's in the database as well. It's actually relatively good at ranking and showing how effective a player is at being above average for their team on a per touch basis. So it's really good. But I don't have it for college stats. I don't know if it does exist. I don't know why I thought you were assuming you were talking about college stats. So have you done any research on EPA? I didn't know. Yeah, it's good, but it's not good enough. Like I dug into a little bit where it replaced everything or took over points per game even, or target share. It's a really good look at a player and how much value they're adding to the roster, but I don't know what else to say about it. But yeah, it's in the database if you want to look at it. That's all I got.
Well, and Fusu's usually pretty sharp, but also a little out there. Like I follow him and he's pretty sharp, but sometimes out there.
He can be, yeah.
I don't usually finish my water, and I did, so things had to happen. Silver money, Russell Wilson, 106, 110, and 203 for Herbert. I get Herbert. Superflex rebuild. Yes.
Take it. Yep.
Absolutely. Andre, 1 QB league. I have the 105, 203, bunch of 2s. Should I trade them to move up or get other players? I only have Eckler and Ramondre and no one else at running back, so Bijan is the dream, but seems unlikely.
You're not getting to Bijan.
not with those. 105, 1 quarterback league. I mean, you're looking at what? Quentin Johnson, is that where we're at?
Yeah, I mean, unless he goes above. I mean, like that's the thing is you don't know the order of that. So like after Bijan, those 4 picks could be anybody.
Also, Eckler and Ramondre is good.
Yeah,
I mean, I know. You said that the change at OC is going to be bad for Eckler, but still, again, there's no such thing as need right now. So don't feel like you need to do anything. Sit at the 105, see what trades come in, see what you think you can get. Otherwise, there's going to be a good player there for you. Jay Williams was a top 15 pick in a deep wide receiver draft. Traded up for in an amazing young off with a great offensive line. Buy Williams, sell St. Brown. Young offense. The capital Y with quarterback got confused. I don't think the 2 need to be related. Maybe St. Brown is a little bit of a sell at like wide receiver 5-ish, but like he's really, really good. I think they can both be buys. Well, Amon-Ra might be more of a hold as opposed to a sell or a buy because his price is really up there. But again, I don't think that the 2 are related to each other. Nicholas, about to turn the clock back to the beginning of the show. Thanks for the content, boys. Yeah, man. Like, our questions are still close to the beginning of the show. Andrew just watched a great interview with the head of the Senior Bowl. How he touched on Jalen Hurts and how he came in as projected 4th rounder, especially after his transfer sit and losing job to Tua. Combine and draft season have value in fantasy. Yes, but again,
the draft has value in fantasy. Like you're if you're counting combine and then you're counting the draft, you're double counting the combine.
And
the combine has no value for fantasy. There you go. I'll be the bad guy. It has literally no value.
Yeah.
You could ignore it, never look at it. I don't. I spend the time to collect it, and I promise you I do as well. It has no value for fantasy if you know the draft capital, especially. Sorry, Andrew. I wish it made sense because it makes sense, athleticism and all. But it just, I mean, maybe they should test athleticism on the field since that's actually what they do. But yeah, it has no value for fantasy.
Yeah, I have a scissor. 1912 fantasy. What's up, guys? Hey, a term I'm hearing lately in Dynasty is fantasy positional value. How do you calculate a player's positional value and how is it relevant in Dynasty? Thanks, fellas. You want me just to talk because I do that? I mean, that's cool. Well, first of all, in like its basis form, positional value, if we're meaning rankings within a position, is one way it's used. Hold on, let me pull up an actual example to make it a lot easier. Like, hold on, let me click all on. Like Kenneth Walker, he is the 9th player overall in ADP, but his positional value is RB4. His value within the position is 4th overall. But we also have positional advantages, within teams, and that's usually comes down to onesie positions. One quarterback leagues, the quarterback, the tight ends, those positions where you only have to start one. So in bigger leagues, the bigger your league gets, the better it is for your fantasy team to have a stud at that position, because you can go into every matchup knowing, like if you have Travis Kelce on your team, you go into every matchup knowing that there is a more than likely chance your tight end is going to outscore their tight end. So, I mean, positional advantage is very important in that, especially in one quarterback leagues, like we were saying before. Yeah, you hear that Josh Allen is the QB1 and you feel like that holds a lot of value, but then you find out that, again, he's the 28th player off the board, and right above him is the wide receiver 16 going off the board. So 1 and 16 clearly are not even numbers, but the value of the position comes into play as well based on your league details. I think that made sense.
Yeah, and so for me, it's more about positional advantage. And I know that he's asking specifically positional value, but for me, the positional value and positional advantage are synonymous, because it's the pass catching running back. So Austin Eckler finished this year as the running back 1. He finished 5 points a week ahead of the running back 5. That's 85 points over the course of the season. Like that's a huge amount. Position and Kelsey's an even better example, because if you go down to like tight end 3, he's just crushing the field, and that's how you gain, an advantage over your league. And so if you're, again, that's what you're trying to do, is gain advantages in as many positions as possible. Tight ends the easiest one, because there's such a glut of bad tight ends that people think are good, so go get the top tier.
As far as the calculation goes, there's a few. VORP is very common. That's value over replacement. That's just the average points per game scored by that positional player versus the replacement level. And now you can also define replacement level a few different ways, to be fair. But honestly, I've seen it done a variety of ways. Players that you're more likely to get off the waiver wire, or players outside the top 24 at their position. Depends which way you want to go. But it's a really good way of looking at it. So's usable weeks in the same vein. It's how much bang for your buck you get out of it. It's also kind of what points at wide receiver not being nearly as deep as some people suggested. But if you're looking for a calculation, that's kind of how it's done. I think you'll find most of the things you get out of it, because they've been hammered on so much. Like Zach was talking about the tight end position. There's 1, maybe 2 have significant advantage over everyone else. But don't let positional value slide into other value. For example, running backs have some of the most significant positional value over other running backs because if they're starting versus running backs that are playing a bit part role, they're just going to be better. But those top 24 running backs have almost no flex value. And so I've more transitioned to thinking of it in terms of that. It's how startable is your player given everyone that can start, the top 96 players instead of just the top 24 or the top 12 of their position. I know every now and again I get a burst of energy. Like I can talk for 5 minutes. So
I love it.
But he asked about a calculation, but I'm pretty sure that's the calculation they'll be referring to, VOR or some version of it.
Gavin, is Dalton and Dennis Allen going to ruin my Olave for another year? God, I hope not. That's the best answer I can give you.
Yeah.
What do you mean for another year though? This year wasn't ruined, was it? Did he have
he was
stretch?
Good, but not as good as
It
everyone
could have
hoped
been
he was
so
gonna
much
be.
better had he had an actual quarterback throwing the ball. I think that's really what it comes down to.
I just default. I think we
Sky
just
Moore
saw what
played
Olave
39
is, and it's pretty good. But
yeah, well, he had a very good season, but again, it just could have been better. Sky Moore played 39% of snaps as the fourth option once Hardman and Juju go next year. Thoughts on his upside when he is third option for a big progression?
Pete?
That's if ifs and buts were candy and nuts kind of thing. Yes.
I do like the effort you're putting into it, and that makes sense. It's not like Sky Moore wasn't on the field a lot, but the fact Sky Moore was on the field a lot and didn't do anything for me is the biggest signal. That's bad. The volume is interesting, but stats tend to be empty if you don't back it up with some level of production, and he really didn't. Like, what reason do they have to keep him at that rate or increase it? Because there are no other wide receivers they can pick up off the secondary market. There are.
Right.
So that again, Andrew, you're right. It's not like Sky Moore is dust. He had high draft capital. He's very productive in his situation in college. So don't drop him to the waiver wire. But I'm not going and investing in what or trying to add more of what is more than likely going to continue to disappoint. Does that make sense? Like if you got him on your roster, don't drop him. If someone drops him, pick him up. You're right. But the level of interest is relative. Like compared to Van Jefferson, sure. Compared to players that most people will give a second round pick for, not really.
There you go.
Was that what you were hoping would come out my mouth? Because I didn't know what was coming when I started.
That was nice, Pete.
Okay.
No one knows what's coming out of your mouth whenever you go to open it. Right. Ashton Springman, 12-team Superflex. What would you give to go from the 104, 105? They have both. For the 102, 103, have 12 picks, 4 firsts. The 102, the 104, 105, 107, and the 112. 2 seconds. Only Lance at QB, Hall at running back, and wide receivers
Too
are
many numbers.
Yeah.
107, 103, 104, 102. My first question, and obviously you can't respond to this, Ashton, is why are you hunting for the 102 and 103? Like, I think you've got a tier there. If you're at 4,
because
the guy you want, mate,
he needs quarterbacks.
Wants a
but
quarterback.
if you want to, yeah, I see what you mean.
I think you're better off using those picks to go trade for established QBs than what you would have to pay to move those picks to get both the 102 and 103. Like if you want to trade up for one of them, I mean, send the 104 and the 112 to go get the, try for the 102, but be fine taking the 103 and getting whichever one's left over for you. Yeah. But
that's how I was going to round out the thought, by the way.
Yeah.
Like if it's the quarterbacks that you want, especially when you're that close, maybe one falls and maybe one doesn't, you're probably better off hunting one of the Kirk Cousins of the world.
Yeah, that also.
Jalen Hurts probably trades for that.
Yeah,
you probably get a Jalen Hurts trade or even a Trevor Lawrence trade for what it would take.
You could probably get Cousins or Daniel Jones pretty close for like either the 112 or the 107. Like,
yeah.
I think if you offer the Daniel Jones manager a first, they'd be thrilled and probably take it.
Yeah, and I would do that and then hope that Brock Purdy falls on his face this weekend and Trey Lance gets some run and you can either trade Lance and work up that way and feel good about it. And plus, if you keep your 104 or 105, you get 2 solid wide receivers, and all of a sudden you've rebuilt your team, got a couple of quarterbacks that you like, and didn't spend the draft capital you would have to go get a quarterback who we're hoping is going to be good in either Stroud or Young. but we don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
And a quarterback you hope is going to be good in trade leagues.
even like first round quarterbacks, like high drafted quarterbacks, it's still less than 50% proposition. So,
and yeah, that was the only other thing I was going to say. If you're actually going up because you think Robinson falls to the 102 or something, then that's a different story. But I don't think he was thinking that. I think you're right.
All right, so I know we always joke about this, but like Peter, your hair looks fantastic right now. Even
thank you.
Like
the whole Ewok style.
No, but like usually it's not frizzy at all. It looks really nice right now. It looks like I
think he's trying to say it's like a regal mane.
Yeah,
Peter.
Saying I look greasy.
You look very leonine.
I'm also just jealous of straight hair because I have a poodle.
Mine's not. Mine's it's like I would be just mine grows out and curly.
Yeah. Andrew, 1 QB, 12 team PPR, start 8. Yeah, we know, Zach. We know. We can see. We're blinded by it. We know. Would you trade Mixon, the 102, the 111, and 112 for Justin Jefferson?
The two.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
I would still do it.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest,
it's a 1 QB, so it's not Robinson. It's probably the wide receiver 1.
Yeah, so two
cheap wide receivers and Rob
Mixon. Can get a second back just to make it a 24-second even to make you feel better about it. But the answer is I do.
The second's not doing anything for me. So
it's probably one of the only ways you're trading one of those older running backs for something that shiny.
Yeah. I think the answer is still Justin Jefferson here. Timo, 10 team, half PPR, super flex, start 9. I have Diggs and Young wide receivers. Lamb, Waddle, Higgins, Watson, Pickett. I love these people. I can sell Diggs for the 102. I'm a contender. Should I keep Diggs at that point or take the pick? 10 team, half PPR, super flex. 10 team super flex.
That's going to be a quarterback for a wide receiver that's great but older. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Long term, it's the right move. And weirdly, like Diggs had a bad ending to the season. I'm not going to say that has anything to do with his long-term outlook, but honestly, I think I make that move because you can then it's much easier to turn the 102 into whatever you want than the specific people you need to deal with that want Steph Diggs.
Again, it's really hard to trade for a quarterback in Superflex without giving one up, and you're doing that here, so it sucks. But I think,
and it's hard to trade away a wide receiver.
Yeah.
So first of all, this must have been an autocorrect. Did you see my super heat? Did you see my super chat? We go in order, regardless. We appreciate you donating to someone.
Someone.
It's not necessarily us.
I gotta figure out where that goes.
Yeah.
But Ashton, no, and that just developed naturally as well. We really didn't think we'd have this many people interested in talking, so we never made plans. But really appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, so we go in order, but we appreciate you. That's a lot for it. It is, but it's Jefferson, and you have to pay a lot for Jefferson. Yeah, I mean, sure.
It's sticker price.
Always try. The answer is
trade is sticker value that really scares you, but then when you start breaking it down, how else would you get Justin Jefferson? Yeah.
I think we read that already. Bryson Daggett, 12-team Superflex, start 12. Got offered Barkley for Cup and the 109. What else should I try to get back? Cup and the 109 for Barkley feels good.
Good, yeah. Cup's really low valued, but this seems fair.
Cup is, like we said before, is wide receiver 26, I think it was, which is crazy low. Cup will gain value the second points are back on the board. But even still, I mean, I love Saquon, and I don't think the 109 is that big of a deal between the two. So
no, I think that's fair.
I think it's
again, it's trading older wide receivers. It's kind of how you have to do it.
If you feel like you need something back, throw in a 24-second to see what happens. Because
I will say
you'll be happy to get, even though it doesn't mean much.
I will say, Bryson, this is a move if your team's pretty good. Even then, you could probably trade Barkley easily next season. So yeah.
Both Barkley and Cup are competing assets, so
they'll be scoring points next season, and people will be interested in it again. So it's fine.
The Royal Chief, what do you guys doing with Eckler? I don't think there's
No.
much you can do with Eckler right now. Like
Nah.
even during the season when he was the running back one, you weren't getting much in trade for him. He was going for single
Really?
random firsts.
I looked up his ADP the other day, and it seemed a lot higher than I thought it would be or should be or something. I was like, can you still? I don't know.
RB7.
I'd trade him if I could. If you can get into the top half,
Well, but
top
it's
5
also-
in a draft. Or...
Also, that ADP is coming off in season where he
Yeah, that's fair.
just finishes the running back one.
Wait a month when
It'll
the rookies are in
cool
there.
in
It's going to be
offseason.
below. He's not going to be a top 12 running back.
So what I would do with
7th,
Eckler,
17th. Wow.
what I would do with Eckler is hang on now, and if you're not competing and he starts scoring, then again you may be able to get that random first, especially if you kick it out a year. And I like the 25 class in terms of running backs. So if you can get that first, no, don't for me. It's the next one.
Oh, you're actually talking about 25?
Yeah, the running backs in that
25,
class
yeah.
are going
I
to be
didn't realize
interesting.
you knew that far out.
Well, I listen to people. I
Huh.
listen.
I think Najee Harris is the alternative. You flip him to a younger guy, maybe grab a second in 25. That'd be a little much to ask for, but I'd like that a lot. The only other type of thought I got.
Yep.
This one is
Again,
for you,
it's
Zach.
is the thing I'm trying to trade exciting to someone? And if so, what for?
If Levis and Richardson get top 15 draft capital, or it seems like at least one of them will, would they jump your top 7 prospects?
No.
They will for other people, which is nice. that's the good thing about it. Justin, have the 104, 8, 9, and 10. Thinking of trading one of the late first rounds plus someone like Jarvis Landry, so nothing for a 24 first. You don't. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, it's okay.
You don't have to add to a first this year to get a first next year. It
That's
should be the
kind
other way
of
around.
yeah. That's meant to be the natural discount. But if you got to throw a Zach Moss in, it's fine. Yeah.
Like you should be getting a 24 first and a 23 late second or third to get out of this draft.
No.
I like that move, but you should be getting plus to do it.
Apparently, target 2025. That's the thing. I'm gonna start doing that.
Well, you always.
No, I'm just saying that there are running backs. The 24 class is nice in terms of like there are quarterbacks at the top of that class, but I don't think the other skill position is as deep. At least that's what I'm gathering.
I heard
That makes it less actionable. So I'm going to take the first part and just ignore the context you added with the second part, and I'll blame you if it goes wrong. That's what's going to happen.
King Vassell once said that the 24 class is the 23 class without Bijan.
Yeah, which is again less at the top, but better. I think the quarterbacks in that class are better.
Love Zay on my eval last year. Was surprised when he went back to BC. In my 20 plus years of eval, I've never seen so many DBs fall on their back when watching Hyatt. Can't wait to see him on the Chargers.
Yeah, I looked at Hyatt a little bit. I really haven't looked at anyone, but because you mentioned him, it was a name I knew to look up. He scores pretty high in a few different ways, but I think there's some susness to it. I know I'll tell you from that. Like, I don't think he would jump Quentin or Addison or even Butte, who I'm struggling with right now.
To me,
but I could see him with draft capital getting in that mid range there. Yeah, for sure. There's a lot to like.
Admiral Akbar.
It's a trap. Sorry, just had to do it. Gavin, give Walker and Olave, get Amon-Ra St. Brown and T. Higgins. Yes.
Yep.
You could, because Olave, Amon-Ra, and T honestly are in a similar tier to me, even though I think I like them in that order I just said it. No, Amon-Ra, Olave, then T. Maybe. I don't know. Regardless, it doesn't matter. I'm fine moving Walker to get a young wide receiver because I have more faith in those wide receivers anyway. So yes, I would absolutely give those two to get those two.
Yes.
Third overall capital. Okay. Butte declared because he was in a very weird.
Yes. We discussed that.
There's something about that. Yeah.
Okay. I missed. Okay.
Don't know any details. Sorry.
ZT
I also heard his quarterback decided to return, which might have influenced him slightly.
What QB could you get with Lance plus a 24 first? Does adding Bateman allow you to tier up from that? People just want to get rid of Bateman at this point. I think that's what
They do, which is
the lesson we're learning from this.
But that's the thing. That's why he's on my acquire list.
Because everyone wants to get rid of him.
Yes.
See, here's the thing that, like, with this, if competing isn't on your immediate need list, like, go get Kyler Murray for Lance in the 24 first, because I think there's a chance that gets pulled off. But otherwise, if you can pull off Tua, that'd be cool. Dak, if you don't mind adding some age, but I think that might be your cap. Like, I don't think you're getting Lamar, Fields, Lawrence, like any of those guys for that package. Even with
doesn't do enough to shift you into a different target pool for sure.
Yeah, I think you're.
Unless it's maybe me.
The 24 being a year out and Bateman being.
Lance is like another good game from the 49ers away from being a real buy. It's really that's really where we're at.
Yeah, to put it in a different term, because I didn't do anything about it in fantasy. I went and like I talked about, I like football cards. I went and I bought a really cheap Trey Lance autograph just in case, because if he comes back and he does well, that'll increase. Like if you have a lot of teams, get Lance, get like one share of Lance just in case. But like I don't think trading him away is the right move, because I don't think there's value in it. 1912, what's up, guys? The tournament here. Oh no, we did this already. Jared, is 27 to 28 too old for a running back, especially if he's your running back one? Am I wrong, right, or partially correct? My league thinks that's the perfect age. If your league thinks that's the perfect age, you trade them every single 27 and 28-year-old running back because it's too old. But the real answer is Austin Eckler is 30 and was just a running back one, so who cares? Yeah, that is absolutely player specific. It has absolutely nothing to do with an overall, because even when it is overall, it's an average. Like good players play better for longer.
Yeah. The outliers outlie. I mean,
the outliers outlie.
That's really what it is.
Age doesn't have value. Good age curves do.
Yeah,
you want the players who are good at 27, 28, not the 24 and 25-year-olds who are bad, just to put it in stark contrast.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, again, you can be 22 and do nothing for fantasy. You can be 28 and literally be the best player in fantasy football. It's about the player, not the age.
But the thing is, that
I honestly think we've tied ourselves up in nuts over that.
Yeah, like you take advantage of that knowledge, though. Pull a Zach, write that down, find out.
You want them, but cheap.
Who likes the older running backs, and then the second your running back hits that age, move on. But that's also not to say that Nick Chubb isn't going to be awesome, or that Zeke can still have a strong high-end RB2 season under his belt in a year, for the next year or two. But
we still got another year or two out of these old running backs. But we are going to see some a lot of change up in the next
year. Yeah. The values are going to change real big once the rookies come in. Justin Johnson, 12 teams, start 9, 1 quarterback. Herbert, Mixon only, and backups, wide receivers, 3 in the top 15, 3 in the top 40. 23 picks, 4 early to mid first. Should I try to bolster my running back room or draft best available? Draft for value, trade for need. You don't have any need right now. Trade suggestions. I mean, we've answered this one a lot, and it's always going to end up being the same answers, because we're always going to talk about guys we like and guys we think are going to increase in value. But that's what you need to aim for right now in January. Things that will increase in value, because that's all trading point season is.
There are going to be some interesting running back targets this offseason. Speaking to a man who needs to renovate his running back room, which is almost me. Like Rashad White's strangely low, and I think you guys mentioned one earlier, and also Cam Akers. There are some of these shots, but in general, just because of the nature of this offseason doesn't mean you should forego basic dynasty stuff. You're trying to trade running backs at their value. In the sense you got more than enough top 8 round picks that your team is it's built. It's a dynasty team. It's not building. It's not losing. So kind of stay the course. I'm guessing.
Rashad White's running back 25. That's lower than I thought he would be.
Yeah, he's really low overall too.
Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it. When I make a comment, you answer as if we were talking face to face. I love this program. Cheers.
We are, Andrew. We're here. We're talking.
We're here.
I wish I knew.
We actually have long conversations on what we think you all look like. in real life. Like
I also have that. What I think I look like.
It does make me kind of paranoid, though. Is there another way to talk to people as if you're not face to face, Andrew? Like, how are the professionals doing it?
I mean, I once was at a Bob Dylan. I was once at a Bob Dylan concert where he turned around back two and played the whole concert back two because he got pissed at someone in the front row. So you can do that. Yeah. But you gotta talk like this.
And have people, every single cover of your song be better than your original version of it because you're a fantastic songwriter, just not really the best musician.
I don't know. Lay Lady Lay's pretty darn good.
You hear a great song that was recorded in the 70s and it's fantastic. It's a Bob Dylan cover.
Yeah.
Face to face, too much whiskey. I wish I had some whiskey. I don't want to have too much whiskey because it's late and I have to wake up for work in the morning. But John, 12 team, 0.5 PPR, start 10. Would you trade Hollywood, Algier, and 223 firsts for Jefferson? And the answer is yes.
Depends on where the firsts are, but
need to know what those firsts
are. So you should probably list what they are. But in trading for Jefferson, Hollywood and Algier don't even register.
Not much. It's basically Hollywood and 2 firsts.
Yeah, like Algier, literally not at all. But Hollywood, like if you told me just add Hollywood and you can get Jefferson, I would probably just do it. Andre, how do you gain an advantage against league mates who use keep trade cut? Specifically, what players should I target?
That's a good. I haven't scraped. I tell you what, I can tell you exactly who you talk to. Jason Stein. At Jason Stein, he's a Dynasty nerd. He's literally writing a nerd type series for Dynasty nerds where he plummets the keep trade cut values to find who is under and overvalued based on a formula they use for stock markets. So it's actually pretty neat. And I talked to him on the podcast a little while ago, and he produces regular articles pointing out whose value is probably too low based on the points per game they're getting and where they're at in their career. It's a really interesting series, and he can point you straight to the right answers.
Yeah. And if you want to be more simplistic about it because you're lazy and don't like to listen or read things, keep trade cut is insanely reactionary. So it's as easy as watching football and see who does well that week, or look on Twitter to see who everyone's talking about and whether it's positive or negative. Like that's really what keep trade cut is literally people reacting to what's in front of them right now, which is why I don't like it as a dynasty tool at all. But it is absolutely something you could take advantage of for sure.
Micro markets, baby, at its finest.
Phil, I'd be more
underscore Jason Stein, but I actually just pulled up the article. Sorry.
Wait, say that again because I was talking over you. What's his handle?
At underscore Jason Stein, spelled exactly like it sounds.
Okay.
I can link it in the description. It's really interesting. There's a lot of graphs in here, so you'll probably have to roll your eyes a little bit. But he says Kyle Pitts right now is actually at the point where he's undervalued.
He's getting there,
which is interesting. Trey Lance, Dalvin Cook is a sell apparently. It's really interesting. I'm gonna link it. He's doing some pretty interesting work.
Phil, I'd be more worried about Sky Moore if he was in the SEC or something. I give the small school guys a little bit more time. That being said, I don't really love him. Like, yeah, man, 6-year breakout. Let's go. Corey Davis did it. Sky Moore can do it. I was sad of Sky Moore getting drafted by Kansas City, especially right after they drafted Juju, because they're kind of similar-ish. So maybe
you gotta play in the slot, yeah.
So maybe it is helpful if he were to leave, but also, I mean, Juju had some good games, didn't necessarily do as well as I would have wanted him to. But yes, things can open up for Sky Moore, but I don't think you keep your expectations nice level where you won't be super sad. But he could be usable. Like, that is absolutely more than enough. Asking if that makes sense to move up or trade for established players. Depends on what your team is. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't remember what your exact question was.
I mean, both make sense
from
in the right context. Okay.
Yeah. So the Peter special depends on the deal. If you're talking about moving up to get both of them, I think you're going to have to spend too much. But we said all that already. So, yeah, like trading for established players is usually the smarter idea, just because we've seen it. We know there's a lot less risk. There's never no risk, but we play Dynasty. It's exciting to get the shiny new toy every once in a while, and these two quarterbacks are very good, and will most likely go to teams that super need quarterbacks. And yeah, so fun. Trade for established, brother. Go get your guy early and late first for like Watson if you can get him. Like, don't go get Watson, but yes, go get your guy is absolutely like
Dynasty wise, it's not a bad idea.
do what makes you happy. This is a game. Like, that's the real answer in the end of it. You know.
Tell you what, I have been doing this long enough. I have to remind myself of that. I was doing something on a podcast the other day, and I was like, you know what? I don't say it enough, but if it's fun, just do that. I mean, this is a game.
1000%. Like I literally just said, if you want to trade for the 102 and 103, you're probably gonna have to pay too much. Who cares? Go do it if you want.
But you can, of course, you can. Yeah, and you know, you just.
What is a good offer for Kyler in a 12-team Superflex league? Like I said before, Lance in a 24 first isn't like I think that's a good offer. It's such a super specific question, but try lower than you think, just in case the person is whoever has them now is way
John
too.
Bosch hates that, but yeah, always just a little lower than you think's great.
Oh yeah, that's why I love how many podcasts I do with John Bosch, because we are fundamentally so similar yet so different that it's so entertaining. Can you guys talk on A-Chain? Zach, if he gets second round draft capital, goes to a powerful, quick offense, definitely not your typical prototypical RB.
Right. I mean, he's undersized. He's 5'9", 185. He had almost 200 carries, 1,100 yards this year. But the thing that you really like to see is last year, 24 receptions. This year, 36 catches. He is, in spite of his size, actually a pretty effective runner inside, which, again, makes me think back to like Devin Singletary was that way, where you look at him and you're like, no, he's gonna be an outside player. He's a crease runner, so he gets real small through the hole. No, I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of the 5'9" guy, but he does. Like, he gets small through the hole and then accelerates through the other side. Very good hands, and he's really talented as a route runner. Like, he can get out and run a wheel or be lined up outside. And he's got really good technique as a pass blocker. In spite of his size, he gets low and uses his leverage. He does not have much power. #physics. Like, he just he can't. He's not quick enough side to side, I think, to get the edge consistently, which you expect him to be running to the outside, but that's not his game. And he does get caught by the initial defender too often. Again, I like him, but I think he's probably going to get pegged into the space back role. It's going to be, the Gainwell, the Nyheim Hines, that type of player. But he's good. He's got some skill. He'll probably have games where he scores some fantasy points, but I don't see him as being a player that you're going to be real excited to spend a high pick on. He's going to be a second or early third round rookie pick, and you'll probably get enough out of him to make that viable.
Yeah, it looks pretty decent.
But he's very undersized.
Last few years, slightly above average in PPR points, age adjusted, for example. Had a somewhat of a full roll the last year. 64% of rushing attempts.
Yep.
50% of rushing yards. Yeah. He did it right.
John Hablack. I got Coop for Lance and a 24 first and was stoked about it. Who's Coop? Am I missing something? Cooper Cup? Amari Cooper? Is that an autocorrect for someone? Sorry, John. I have no idea who that is. Carls, if Bill O'Brien is hired, do you think the Pats will have a clear wide receiver one again, at least for fantasy? His schemes previously have lent on that. Welker during his Pat stint, D-Hop for his... Well, I mean, regardless of what scheme you run, Hopkins is going to do that for you. But sorry.
Kane ran a lot of routes, but look at it. Sorry, I'm still back here. Carry on. Carls.
I mean, you need a good receiver. I don't think the Patriots have a receiver that is featureable right now.
Yeah.
So even if Bill O'Brien comes in, I think you feature your best players, which right now are in the backfield.
Yeah. So look, if they add someone, maybe we get a little excited about it.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, if they go out and pay up and get Addison or JSN or one of these, even somebody like a Zay Flowers, like you're starting to get a little bit excited because there are good players coming into a situation where there aren't very many good players.
Cool.
Potential to carve out a role. But I don't know that that's necessarily Bill O'Brien, although I would be far more excited about Bill O'Brien than I am about Matt Patricia, who may be a rocket scientist, but he is not an offensive coordinator.
Not offensive coordinator. Alexander, would you trade Waddle for no? I saw D Johnson as the first one, and then no for Deontay. I'm guessing that's Deontay, by the way.
Yeah, no.
112 and likely the 2024 112. And everything after that still just makes it more of a no. Yeah. One quarterback makes those pick words and start 8. You're never going to want to start Deontay Johnson or whoever those players you want Waddle in a start 8. Easy.
See, Steven knows. Next one.
Yep.
Nashville Skyline. Lady.
Oh, lots of Peter. Justin Johnson, landing spot for Jacoby Myers. Traded for him late in the season. Have high hopes for him next year. He's a good role player in an offense.
I would trade for him now because I don't know, but I think he's going to be
for a third. Cool. I don't know if I'd put much more into him.
That's the thing. He's definitely a second once he's got a landing spot, probably, no matter what it is, unless it's like the Chiefs, I guess. But right now, you could probably get him for again, you got to send things people want, and they don't want a third, so you might have to find another.
Put him as
lower ranked player that they're actually excited about, but I think it's really interesting.
Find the person that's excited for Sky Moore, kind of thing.
Yeah, great trade. Yeah,
Andrew,
Late Night Grind. Oh, no. Late Night Grind, great show. Hit of the like button, fellas. Putting in the work. Yeah, we are putting in the work.
No, I'm gonna be putting in the work in like 3.5 hours.
I know. I just saw what time is, but we're so close to the end. Super Cooper, going back to my earlier trade question at 103 with Watson, Stafford, Mahomes, do I still take a QB in Superflex? Yes. It doesn't matter who is on your team. Draft for value, trade for need. You trade for the guy that matters. Yeah, like that's it. You can't, because even if you had a need at quarterback, you're drafting one of those quarterbacks, not necessarily hoping they're going to walk in and bring you to the playoffs. So that's not what rookie picks are for. They're to help you build your team, not help you win.
Or you trade it to a quarterback needy team and get value for it. So like you don't have to make that's the cool thing about picks is you've got them. You don't have to make them, and they're going to get more valuable the further we go in the process. Sorry, Peter, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm ahead. I'm ahead, Peter. I'm not lagging behind. I'm ahead.
I figured. Normally are.
Phil, what do we think of the non-Gibbs Bijan rookie running backs? Anyone stick out? Tucker seems to be the most common RB3 from what I see. I'm going to say I know nothing about the player himself, but I love the name Tank Bigsby.
Tank Bigsby is a fun name.
He will be on multiple of my teams purely because of his name. Though drafting Master Teague because of his name was a lot easier because he was just drafted in the last round.
So much of this, Phil, is going to be draft capital. I like Zach Charbonnet. I think that he has a full 3-down skill set where he can carry the ball, plus is a pretty good pass catcher, but he's a 4-year guy. So some people knock that. I know Peter doesn't. It doesn't bother me because I'm a film guy. I don't do numbers, so I don't even know how old he is. And I do like Kendre Miller out of TCU as a ball carrier, but I think he lacks a little bit as a receiver. But he's probably, aside from Bijan, he's probably the best runner in this class. And so those are the we like those types of guys. We don't like them as a running back one.
Yeah. John, what's your guys' favorite trade you ever pulled off? See, I honestly don't even. I think maybe I trade too much, or honestly, I don't remember once I move on. I remember my few trades that I did in the very beginning, but after that, it's all a blur.
I had a 1997 Volkswagen Jetta with rust all the way through the rocker panels. It was going to take $4,000 to get it inspected. I traded it for $2,000 and my 2019 Fusion.
And what's even
Best trade
worse
ever.
is back then, Volkswagen cars could only be fixed with Volkswagen parts.
That's the one.
So they were so expensive. Like my best friend had one, and I yelled at him for it. He learned his lesson.
Best
One
trade was
QB,
most recent one.
you mentioned draft for value trade for need. Should I draft a QB if one drops to me in the late first? If there's no one better, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, but you know what? What's that?
Look over there.